Chapter 160. Elder Sect Leader. The Ashura sect leader was overjoyed when he saw the armored Elder Sect leader beside Zhao Wujin. The Elder Sect leader glanced at him and snorted. "Thank goodness I followed you here out of worry. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know how you died. It's you, Chakra King." The seventh forefather walked out from the void and stared at the cloaked elder with a serious look in his eyes. The Chakra King was one of the higher-ups of the demonic cultivator organization, the Underworld Palace. He was there during the Weeping Demon Mountain battle, and the demonic onslaught was planned by him and Zhao Wujin. There are three forces that have their eyes on the demonic Vanquish Lake. Other than the Euphoria sect and the Ashura sect, there's another mysterious force that we haven't been able to find out. "I guess it must be you guys," Chu Kuangren said. The Underworld Palace was the most mysterious demonic cultivator organization in Firmament Star. They were very powerful, so it was normal that the Qian nation could not find out anything about them. "Wujin, go to the secret realm and get the demonic heart. Leave this to us," the Chakra King said. "Yes." Zhao Wujin glared at Chu Kuangren before he dashed towards the secret realm of the demonic Vanquish Lake. Chu Kuangren did not stop him. An ant like him was not worthy of his attention. The most important thing now was to deal with the Chakra King and the Ashura sect's elder sect leader. Only the seventh forefather and Chu Kuangren had the ability to deal with them. Come to think of it, this is the first time I've fought against an honorable supreme. "Seventh ancestor, you can pick one first," Chu Kuangren said. "Let me deal with the Chakra King then. Back at the Weeping Demon Mountain, we didn't even have a clear winner." The seventh forefather took out his Azure Vine sword and locked onto the Chakra King with his powerful sword-based Daoist rhyme. "Alright, leave this Ashura sect's old man to me. An honorable supreme is not an ordinary honorable. You must be careful, kid," the seventh forefather said solemnly. "Don't worry, seventh forefather. I can handle it." Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. He was eager to fight. "Humph, how dare a brat like that? Let me show you the difference between an honorable supreme and an honorable supreme." The Shura sect's elderly sect master snorted coldly. The killing intent around him was several times stronger than the Shura sect's elderly sect master. With a slash of the saber, surging killing intent gathered to form a saber light. Chu Kuangren did not retreat. With the descendant's self-sword in his hand, a terrifying sword-based Daoist rhyme erupted from both him and his sword. As he slashed out with his sword, a purple sword light burst forth and collided with the saber light. The two Daoist rhymes intertwined, giving off a brilliant glow in the dark night. Such a powerful sword chi. The Ashura sect elder was shocked. For a battle king to be able to fight against an honorable supreme like him, such a peerless genius was simply too rare. This person killed 100,000 devil cultivators at Weeping Devil Mountain, and now he's hindering my devil sect's plans. He's repeatedly opposed my devil Dao. If we don't get rid of him today, he'll definitely be a great calamity for the devil Dao in the future. Chu Kuangren must die. Murderous intent shot out of the Shura sect's elder sect master's eyes, and the murderous aura on his body also increased. In the end, a pitch-black figure holding a long saber formed behind him. A terrifying murderous aura emanated from that figure, and every cultivator on the battlefield narrowed their eyes as they trembled in fear. That murderous aura even spread to half of the capital city. Countless cultivators sensed it and looked at the source of the murderous aura in horror. It's the Ashura sect's great Ashura avatar. Rumor has it that the Ashura sect has an avatar cultivation technique that allows one to cultivate an Ashura avatar. It seems like the rumors are true. What a terrifying aura. I feel like I can't even fight back against this avatar, even if I'm an honorable. Everyone was shocked when they saw the great Ashura avatar. However, Chu Kuangren, who was facing the great Ashura avatar's domineering aura, was unperturbed. "So this is the Ashura sect's great Ashura avatar? It looks quite intimidating, but I wonder how many of my attacks it can withstand." Kill. The Ashura sect's elder sect master activated his avatar, and the terrifying avatar wielded a huge long saber and slashed towards Chu Kuangren. The boundless murderous aura formed a force field around Chu Kuangren, trapping him like a swamp, making it impossible for him to dodge. Boom, 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 as the long saber slashed down, a series of explosions erupted in the void. A mysterious fluctuation emanated from Chu Kuangren's body as his Daoist rhymes manifested, turning into white lotuses in the void. It was the sage ruler technique, the white lotus light of purification. The huge saber's shadow stopped abruptly when it landed on the white lotuses. The Daoist rhymes and spiritual power were continuously disintegrated, and the white lotuses also began to wither and shatter. In the end, the white lotuses were completely destroyed. However, that saber attack was also completely destroyed. Chu Kuangren stood where he was, unscathed. That attack was quite powerful, Chu Kuangren said calmly. His white lotus light of purification was extremely powerful and had an unparalleled defense. Even an honorable would not be able to break it. However, the Ashura Sect's Elder Sect Master's saber attack could shatter the white lotuses in the sky. Although it did not hurt Chu Kuangren, it was still a rare feat. How is this possible? The Ashura Sect's Elder Sect Master was dumbfounded, his face filled with disbelief. He did not hold back at all in that attack, it was an all-out attack. Even so, it did not hurt Chu Kuangren at all. His opponent's strength far exceeded the Honorable Supreme's imagination. What realm are you in? The Ashura Sect's Elder Sect Master couldn't help but ask. I'm just a battle monarch, Chu Kuangren said. Upon hearing this, not only the Ashura Sect Master, all the other cultivators looked as though they wanted to curse out loud. This was a battle king? This guy was a battle king? Fuck that battle king. You've already done your part, so it's my turn now. At that moment, Chu Kuangren spoke. He slowly raised the Descendant Self's sword in his hand, and the blade trembled slightly. The white jade-like sword suddenly erupted with an aura that made everyone's scalp tingle. The Ashura Sect's Elder Sect Master didn't dare to be careless. The spiritual energy in his body surged to the extreme and was continuously injected into the Ashura Dharma form. A monstrous murderous aura rumbled in the dark night. Even so, the Ashura avatar still did not give the Elder Sect Master any sense of security. On the contrary, as the sword-based Daoist rhyme on Chu Kuangren's body continued to rise, a sense of unease gradually welled up in his heart. What kind of move is this guy going to use? This Daoist aura is too terrifying. Buzz buzz, the sound of a sword ringing echoed in the air. Chu Kuangren's gaze froze. Then, an emperor's aura suddenly shot out from the Daoist rhyme, causing everyone at the scene to be extremely terrified. Some of the weaker demonic cultivators were immediately pressed to the ground. They looked at Chu Kuangren, who was in the sky, as if they were looking at a high and mighty emperor. How is this possible? This aura, what the hell is going on? An emperor suppressing technique. He's using an emperor technique. Many demonic cultivators looked at Chu Kuangren in disbelief. Even the Chakra King of the Underworld Palace was shocked. It had been a long time since the Firmament Star had seen an emperor technique, but now, Chu Kuangren was wielding his sword and casting an emperor technique right in front of them. Heaven-slaying sword drawing technique. Chu Kuangren swung his sword, and in an instant, a purple sword ray lit up the entire dark night. It was a dazzling sight. Everyone who witnessed this scene would never be able to forget it. Chapter 161. Heaven-slaying sword drawing technique. Chu Kuangren's calm voice formed a strong contrast with the majestic emperor technique, shocking everyone at the scene. The majestic purple sword ray contained an emperor's aura that gushed out. Wherever the sword chi passed, the void shook violently as if it was about to explode. The Ashura Sect's Elder Sect Master, who was targeted by the sword, felt extremely uneasy in the face of such unprecedented power. The Ashura Avatar. He roared as he channeled the spiritual power in his body into the avatar to unleash a slash. The saber ray and the purple sword ray collided, and the majestic sword ray almost crushed the saber ray in a crushing manner. The Ashura avatar had no way to defend against this attack. The moment it came into contact with the sword ray, its Taoist rhymes and spiritual power instantly disintegrated and exploded into spiritual power turbulence. The sword ray was unstoppable as it engulfed the Ashura sect's elder sect master. His armor cracked and shattered under the sword ray. No! With a scream, the Ashura sect's elder sect master's body was torn into pieces by the sword chi, and a large amount of blood sprayed out. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and activated the gluttonous devouring technique, sucking the Ashura sect's elder sect master's body into the avarice dimension to refine his flesh and blood essence. The flesh and blood essence of an honorable supreme was a great tonic. After killing the Ashura sect master, the sword ray smashed onto the ground, and everyone in the capital city felt the ground shake. As dust and smoke rose, everyone saw a huge crack that was thousands of meters long and hundreds of meters deep in the ground. It was like a canyon. The forest that was there had long been destroyed. What a terrifying sword technique! Oh my god, is this the power of an emperor technique? It's so powerful that an honorable supreme was killed with a single slash. Rumor has it that Chu Kuangren sparred with a sage and created an emperor technique. It seems like it's true now. What kind of monster is he? We have no chance of winning. Chu Kuangren's single slash had shocked the demonic cultivators so much that they did not dare to resist. All they wanted was to leave this place as soon as possible. Unfortunately, King Qian was leading an army, and he had the help of Honorable Qing Lan and Old Lady Meng. These demonic cultivators could not escape at all. At that moment, several figures rushed out from the spatial crack not far away. These people were the cultivators who had taken advantage of the chaos to enter the mystic realm with the intention of snatching the demon heart. Zhao Wujin was also among them. Seeing him come out, the Chakra King, who was not far away, was delighted. Wuji, have you got the demon heart? The demonic heart has already disappeared. Someone beat us to it. Zhao Wujin's expression was unsightly. The Chakravarti king and the rest of the demonic cultivators were not much better. They had gone through so much trouble to obtain this demonic heart, but now, someone had gotten it before them. This made them feel like vomiting blood. This was especially the case for the Ashura sect's grandmaster. Not only was the old grandmaster dead, his demon heart was gone as well. This was truly a case of going for wool and coming home shorn. Leave. The Chakravarti king forced the seventh forefather to retreat with a single finger. He then pulled Zhao Wujin along and was about to leave the scene. However, a large amount of sword chi gathered in the air and formed 12 long pillars of sword chi. It was the Nine Heavens sword prison anomaly. None of the demonic cultivators who came here today shall leave this place alive. Chu Kuangren said coldly. He, who had just killed an honorable supreme, had an ice-cold killing intent circulating around his body. All the demonic cultivators present were terrified. Under the encirclement of King Qian and the others, the number of demonic cultivators continued to decrease. Only a few experts were still struggling to hold on. Kill Chu Kuangren first, then break the Nine Heaven sword prison. The Ashura sect master shouted as he led a group of demonic cultivators towards Chu Kuangren. Although they knew that they had no chance of winning, it was the only thing they could do. The weakest of the demonic cultivators who were charging towards Chu Kuangren was at least an honorable realm cultivator. Not to mention honorables like the Ashura sect master and the Euphoria sect master, even a normal battle monarch would be scared to death in the face of such a powerful aura. Unfortunately, their opponent was Chu Kuangren. Phantom light strike. No one could see how Chu Kuangren moved. All they saw was a ray of light flashing in front of them. Then, they felt a terrifying force erupt from their bodies, almost shattering their flesh and bones. That was the power of the human mountain stamp. Boom, boom, boom. A ray of light moved swiftly within the group of demonic cultivators, sending them flying one by one. Those who were lightly injured spat out blood, while those who were severely injured were directly blasted into a cloud of blood mist. Not long after, more than 10 honorable demonic cultivators were all beaten to the ground, unable to resist at all. Gluttonous devouring technique. Chu Kuangren revealed himself, and a pitch-black cave appeared in the middle of his palm like the mouth of a giant beast. One by one, the demonic cultivators were sucked into the cave and refined. How? How can he be so terrifying? Not far away, Zhao Wujin's face turned pale when he saw what happened. He had improved a lot in the past 3 years, and he initially thought that he had closed the gap between him and Chu Kuangren. However, from the looks of it now, the gap was getting bigger and bigger. You who slipped through the net 3 years ago, you shall die too. Chu Kuangren's gaze suddenly fell on Zhao Wujin. Zhao Wujin's heart skipped a beat, and he hurriedly channeled his spiritual power to maximize his Daoist physique strength. Supreme Demonic Physique, Desolate Heaven Fist. A powerful Daoist rhyme erupted as he threw out a punch. That attack was not much weaker than an honorable's attack, but Chu Kuangren only needed to gently slap his palm to instantly shatter that Daoist rhyme. That horrifying power terrified Zhao Wujin, and he hurriedly begged the Chakra King for help. Teacher, please save me. However, when the 9-heaven sword prison was cast, the Chakra King was occupied by the 7th forefather and could not spare any time to save Zhao Wujin. Chu Kuangren turned into a stream of light and appeared in front of Zhao Wujin. He immediately slammed his palm onto the top of Zhao Wujin's skull, and the horrifying palm energy crushed his meridians, bones, and flesh completely. Then, he unleashed the gluttonous devouring technique. Before his opponent could even scream, he was sucked into the avarice dimension and refined. Moreover, he realized that although Zhao Wujin's cultivation was not as strong as those honorables, the blood and flesh essences that he refined were far superior to those honorables. Is it because of the supreme demonic physique? Compared to cultivation, physique factors are more likely to affect the effects of the gluttonous devouring technique. Chu Kuangren figured it out after some thought. Wujin. The Chakra King's eyes were bloodshot when Zhao Wujin was killed. After all, Zhao Wujin was the successor that he had painstakingly chosen, but now, Chu Kuangren had killed him without even leaving a corpse behind. Chu Kuangren, you said that we're demonic cultivators. But your actions are more like demonic cultivators than we are. Absorbing other people's blood and flesh essences to increase your cultivation. If word of this gets out, you'll no longer have the face to call yourself a righteous cultivator. The Chakra King roared. However, Chu Kuangren did not care at all. Those words alone could not shake his Daoist core. Techniques don't control people, but people control techniques. In your hands, this is a demonic technique, but in my hands, it's a demonic weapon. Chu Kuangren said calmly. After refining more than 10 honorables, and even supreme honorables, his aura was steadily rising. He had broken through a small realm and reached the Battle Monarch realm. D****. The Chakra King's expression was extremely ugly. With the 7th forefather and Chu Kuangren behind him, he had no chance of winning this battle. Chapter 162. Chu Kuangren. Let's die together. The Chakra King growled in a low voice. Following that, an extremely powerful aura burst from his body. The spiritual chi in the surroundings boiled like oil in a raging fire, gushing into his body in a frenzy. His spiritual energy was also increasing rapidly. The 7th forefather's expression changed. This is the Great Sky Demonic Disintegration Technique. The Great Sky Demonic Disintegration Technique. Are you trying to take me down with you? Great Daoist runes flashed across Chu Kuangren's eyes as he analyzed the Chakra King. The Great Sky Demonic Disintegration Technique was a mysterious technique that originated from demonic orthodoxies. It burned the foundation of one's body to rapidly increase one's combat strength, but this technique could kill 800 enemies at the cost of 3,000 lives. The user's cultivation base would be completely destroyed, and the worst-case scenario would be death on the spot. It was a suicidal technique that was considered a taboo even among demonic orthodoxies. There were very few demonic cultivators who cultivated this technique. The Chakra King was one of them. He knew that he had no hope of escaping, which was why he chose to use this technique. Boom! A sonic boom was heard in the void. The Chakra King disappeared from where he stood and charged towards Chu Kuangren. With a punch, a violent surge of spiritual power and cold Daoist rhyme erupted and locked onto Chu Kuangren. White lotus light of purification. White lotuses appeared around Chu Kuangren's body, nullifying the Chakra King's first wave of attack. However, the second wave of attack was already upon him. Human Mountain Stamp. Chu Kuangren channeled the spiritual power within his body and unleashed a palm attack. The Human Mountain Daoist rhyme erupted and took on the Chakra King's second punch. A loud explosion rang out and space shook. A shockwave swept out like a storm and a good number of the surrounding cultivators were sent flying. Just as the Chakra King was about to continue his attack, the seventh forefather had already unleashed a sword ray in an attempt to force him back. However, the Chakra King made an unexpected move. Instead of retreating or evading, he took the sword ray head-on. Then, he waved his arms and activated his Daoist rhyme, looking like he was determined to kill Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren was too amazing. Even the Chakra King was terrified. If he did not die, he would definitely become the enemy of the Underworld Palace and even the entire demonic orthodoxy. Besides, Chu Kuangren had killed Zhao Wujin, so the Chakra King hated him to the core. Since he was going to die, he would drag Chu Kuangren down with him. Sage Technique, Een Ender Finger. The Chakra King pointed his finger out and a cold and domineering finger strength landed on Chu Kuangren's shoulder. With a poof, the finger force pierced a large hole in the other party's shoulder, almost knocking off his entire arm. However, what happened next left the Chakra King dumbfounded. The bloody hole on Chu Kuangren's shoulder had a large amount of granulation tissue growing. First, it was the bones, then the flesh, and finally the skin. In an instant, the bloody hole was completely healed. His skin was as white as jade, and he didn't seem to be injured at all. How could this be? The Chakra King was dumbfounded. What kind of technique was this? Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, seized the opportunity while his opponent was still in a daze to unleash his descendant self-sword Qi and blast his opponent away. After that, Chu Kuangren stood proudly in the air as the 5 supreme foundation levels within his body radiated with a dazzling divine light. Light patterns flowed on the surface of his body, making it look like gold or jade. With the golden jade body support, his spiritual power was pushed to the limit. Heaven-rending drawing technique. The Emperor technique was performed again, and the vast Emperor's aura locked onto the Chakravarti King. A terrifying purple sword light burst out. In the blink of an eye, the Chakravarti King was killed on the spot. Tonight, Chu Kuangren had consecutively killed 2 honorable supremes. With the descendant self-sword in his hand, he was dressed in a peerless white robe, and his jet-black hair reached his waist. Sword-based Daoist rhymes emanated from his body, and under the moonlight, he looked like a sword deity. Everyone could not help but be moved by his peerless demeanor. Brother Chu is truly a god. In the crowd, Li Xingqian could not help but exclaim. Meanwhile, the sage ruler remnant spirit within his body was also amazed. I don't think there are more than a handful of such peerless characters throughout the ages. Yes, indeed. Li Xingqian nodded in agreement. He then said, Teacher, now that your heart is in our hands, what should we do next? When we get back, I'll teach you how to refine it. The sage ruler remnant spirit could not suppress the excitement in her tone. Li Xingqian was a little confused, but he did not think too much about it. He only thought that his teacher was happy that his strength had increased again. The massacre lasted for the entire night, and it only stopped when dawn broke. The group of demonic cultivators had been wiped out. The crack to the secret realm had also closed. It's a shame that we couldn't find that demonic heart, King Qian said disappointedly when they returned to the palace. That was a sage ruler's heart. Even if it was a demonic heart, it was still extremely tempting. To a cultivator who had yet to become a sage, its value was extraordinary. Perhaps the rumors were wrong, the 7th forefather said. Perhaps. King Qian shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He then cupped his fists at Chu Kuangren and said, It's all thanks to Brother Chu that we were able to wipe out the demonic cultivators this time. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to do it alone. You're too kind, King Qian. By the way, where's Brother Li? Chu Kuangren smiled and asked about Li Xingqian's whereabouts. King Qian said, he seems to have gone to rest. Fellow Li has contributed a lot in eliminating the devil cultivators this time. As expected of the young master of the White Jade Tower. I'm really sorry for capturing him because of a misunderstanding. Brother Li is not a narrow-minded person. Since King Qian doesn't mind, I'll leave the rest to you. Alright, Brother Chu, go and rest. Alright. After Chu Kuangren went back, he began to organize the loot from the battle. He had gained quite a lot from this battle. He had used the gluttonous devouring technique to absorb a lot of demonic cultivators' flesh and blood essences, which helped his cultivation level to improve. Moreover, the honorables, especially the Chakra King, were all very wealthy. Just the soul stones alone had a few million top-tier ones. There were also some natural treasures like spiritual marrows, which he fed to the godly phoenix egg. Besides that, he had used the heaven-slaying sword drawing technique twice this time, so he had a general understanding of the Emperor technique's power. Although it was his own creation, an Emperor technique was still an Emperor technique. With his current strength, he could not fully unleash its power. However, no one below the sage level could block this sword. Young man, it won't be long before you no longer need us as your protectors, the seventh forefather said emotionally. He felt a little melancholic. Chu Kuangren's growth was too fast. He could already kill honorable supremes and was even more powerful than them. Why would he need their protection? Seventh forefather and the others have been my protectors for a short time, but I, Chu Kuangren, will always remember your kindness. Chu Kuangren said solemnly. By the way, Senior Meng, I plan to stay in the Qian King Palace for a few more days. I have some medicinal ingredients here, can you help me collect them? Then, Chu Kuangren took out a prescription and handed it to old lady Meng. She took a look and was shocked. Fiancé, this is the prescription for the life extension pill. Are you going to refine the life extension pill? That's right. Senior Meng, although there's still some time before you reach heavenly deterioration stage 5, I plan to refine a batch of life extension pills for you first. Chu Kuangren smiled. Old lady Meng was touched when she heard that. She then trembled as she knelt before Chu Kuangren. Fiancé, I'm very grateful for your understanding. Please get up. This is what you deserve, Chu Kuangren said. Thank you, fiancé, old lady Meng said before she went to prepare the medicinal ingredients. Chapter 163. In one of the side halls of the Qian King Palace. Li Xingqian sat on his bed, his expression changing. Sometimes he was angry, sometimes he was happy, and sometimes he was sinister. ****, get out of my body. Li Xingqian said furiously. But in the next second, his expression became gloomy again. My good disciple, lend your body to your master. I shall make your name known throughout the world. It was as if there were two personalities alternating inside his body. Li Xingqian's expression changed again. I don't want to. So you wanted me to take your heart not to help me improve my strength, but to wait for me to refine this demonic heart before you take over my body. Ha, you found out too late. This is the power of my eternal soul transference technique. As long as my demonic heart is not destroyed, I will not die. As long as someone refines this demonic heart, I can take over their body and be reborn. Why did you choose me? Li Xingqian gritted his teeth. TSK, this is fate. You met me, and you have the starlight physique, extraordinary talents, and the White Jade Hotel as your background. If I don't take over your body, who else would I take over? The Eternal King sneered. Don't worry, I will inherit everything you have. I will use your parents and background to help me ascend the throne. No. Li Xingqian let out a low roar. Then, as if he had lost all his strength, he lowered his head and fell silent. After a while, Li Xingqian raised his head and a dark light flashed across his eyes. I've finally suppressed this guy's soul. Now, I just need to completely merge with the demonic heart. Once he had completely merged with the demonic heart, he would be reborn as the Eternal Sage King, and Li Xingqian would no longer exist. Li Xingqian, my good disciple, don't you worry. Li Xingqian chuckled. At this time, Chu Kuangren was in an alchemy room in the Qian King Palace. He was planning to refine a batch of life extension pills for Old Lady Meng. As his Daoist protector, Old Lady Meng had been working very hard all this time. Although Chu Kuangren did not say it out loud, he knew that it was time for him to do something to show his appreciation. It just so happened that refining the prolonging life pill was not a difficult task for him, although he could not refine the Starlight grade prolonging life pill that was comparable to a Saint grade pill due to the lack of medicinal ingredients. However, supreme beings who were slightly weaker could still do it. Not long after, a large amount of pill chi soared into the sky from the alchemy room, and an incomparably surging vitality swept through half of the palace. Many cultivators in the palace sensed this vitality. What a strong life force and elixir energy. Could it be that someone is concocting the prolonging life pill? The prolonging life pill is divided into several grades, but this kind of Dan Qi is at least a supreme grade prolonging life pill. Only a grandmaster alchemist would be able to refine it. That's not right. How could there be an alchemist of this level in our palace? Who is he? Quick, let's go take a look. The phenomenon of refining the prolonging life pill had attracted many people. The Eternal Sage King, who had just completed his possession, also noticed it. Such a phenomenon. There's an alchemist refining the pill. I didn't expect to meet one here. How rare. A person of this level is very useful to me now. It's worth befriending him. He will definitely be of help to my cultivation in the future. Li Xingqian muttered to himself before he dashed toward the source of the Dan Qi. Above the alchemy room, pill clouds gathered. 1, 2, 3, a total of 9 pill clouds emitted auspicious golden light. Waves of surging vitality and Daoist rhymes filled the air, shocking all the cultivators. King Qian, who had just arrived, was dumbfounded. Although he did not study alchemy, he knew what 9 pill clouds represented. 9 pill clouds. Moreover, this scale of Dan Qi means that it's an honorable grade pill, a grade 9 supreme grade pill. King Qian's voice was trembling. He had never heard of anyone who could refine a grade 9 supreme grade pill, not even a grandmaster alchemist. This isn't grandmaster alchemist. Only a legendary grandmaster alchemist can refine a supreme grade pill like this. Who is it? Who's in the alchemy room? All the cultivators who rushed to the scene were shocked by the scene before them. Even Li Xingqian was shocked. A grade 9 supreme grade pill, and grandmaster alchemist. I can't believe someone like this has appeared. I must befriend this person. Li Xingqian said with a fiery gaze. Soon, he noticed that there were a few people guarding outside the alchemy room. It's them. Li Xingqian was slightly surprised. Those people were Lan Yu and the 3 protectors who were by Chu Kuangren's side. However, Chu Kuangren was nowhere to be seen. He was a little curious. The protectors are almost inseparable from Chu Kuangren. Why are they here but not Chu Kuangren? Li Xingqian walked up to them. Greetings, seniors. Little friend, you're here too. The 7th forefather nodded slightly. Li Xingqian felt a little uncomfortable being called a little friend. After all, he was now a sage ruler who had reincarnated into another body. Whether it was in terms of experience or cultivation, he was much more experienced than the 7th forefather. How could he not feel uncomfortable being called a little friend? However, he hid it well and did not show it. Who's in this alchemy room? Also, where did Brother Chu go? Previously, he was in a remnant spirit state and could not wait to avoid Chu Kuangren. However, now that he had reincarnated into another body, even a sage would not be able to see through him. Naturally, he was not afraid of Chu Kuangren finding out anything. The bachelor sage is in the alchemy room. Honorable Qin Lan smiled. Oh, could it be that Brother Chu is familiar with that alchemy grandmaster? No, the bachelor sage is the alchemist. Li Xingqian's face revealed a hint of shock as he said, Seniors, You're not joking with me, are you? The seventh forefather smiled faintly and said, I know it's hard to believe, but it's the truth. Li Xingqian was completely shocked. Chu Kuangren was an alchemy grandmaster. His cultivation talent was amazing, his combat strength was extraordinary, and he was an alchemy grandmaster too. Was there any justice in this world? What a shame. How great would it be if the person I took over was Chu Kuangren? With his talent and alchemy skills, coupled with my cultivation experience as a sage ruler, I'll definitely be able to rise quickly and ascend to the emperor realm. Li Xingqian lamented in his heart. If he wanted to take over a body, he would naturally have to find a sky pride with good cultivation talent. However, compared to Chu Kuangren, all the sky prides in the world were like dust. Now that I've reincarnated as Li Xingqian, I must build a good relationship with Chu Kuangren. Even if I can't borrow his strength, it's better not to make him my enemy unless it's absolutely necessary. He was aware of his current situation. Having just taken over a body, he was definitely no match for Chu Kuangren. He still needed time to grow. With a creak, the alchemy room's door opened and Chu Kuangren walked out with a small jade bottle in his hand. Inside the bottle were a few golden pills. They were the 9th grade Honorable Supreme Pills, the Life Extension Pills. Senior Meng, there are a total of 12 Supreme Pills here. If you take one every month, it should be able to extend your life by about 3,000 years. Thank you, fiancé. Old Lady Meng was so grateful that she took the pills with trembling hands. Chapter 164. I didn't expect Brother Chu to be an alchemy grandmaster as well. How versatile you are, King Qian said as he walked up to him. The crowd of cultivators behind him also surrounded him and complimented him. Brother Chu, not only are you talented, but you also know how to refine pills. That's amazing. I'm impressed. That's right. This old man also knows a little about the Tao of alchemy, but compared to fellow Chu, my knowledge pales in comparison. Brother Chu, I have a 20-year-old daughter in my family. She admires you very much. When can you meet her? The cultivators were all talking at once. Some of them even started to promote their daughters. King Qian's mouth twitched as he looked at the group of cultivators. These embarrassing people did not know how to be reserved at all. Brother Chu, I have a daughter who is proficient in the 4 arts. Do you need me to ask her to keep you company? King Qian smiled gently. The crowd of cultivators was speechless. They could not be blamed for that. After all, Chu Kuangren's abilities were just too shocking. Combat strength aside, who could guarantee that they would not experience headaches or fever just from his alchemy abilities alone? Who could guarantee that they would not experience heavenly deterioration stage 5? Chu Kuangren's alchemy grandmaster abilities were too valuable. As long as he wanted to, he could extend the lives of most cultivators. That alone was enough to make Chu Kuangren fearless even if he did not have the strength to truss a chicken. On the contrary, many wanted to befriend him. Facing the enthusiastic King Qian and the crowd of cultivators, Chu Kuangren kept a smile on his face as he dealt with them one by one. After a while, he looked at Li Xingqian who was beside him. Brotherly, you contributed a lot in clearing the demonic onslaught yesterday. Thank you for your hard work. It's my pleasure. But Brother Chu has given me a surprise today. I didn't expect you to know alchemy as well. I can't survive without some life skills these days. Chu Kuangren laughed. You must be joking, Brother Chu, Li Xingqian said. Chu Kuangren looked at Li Xingqian and frowned. He felt that Li Xingqian was a little off today, but he could not pinpoint what it was. Chu Kuangren immediately activated his Eye of Revelation. However, what he saw made his pupils shrink. Eternal Sage King, in a state of possession. After his physical body perished 50,000 years ago, he has existed in the form of a remnant spirit. He cultivates the eternal soul transfer technique. Li Xingqian's soul is in hibernation. Information about the Eternal Sage King flashed past his vision. As for Li Xingqian, he was only in a state of hibernation. However, Chu Kuangren breathed a sigh of relief that the other party was still alive. Then, he said calmly, "Brotherly, how about going for a walk with me?" How could I dare to refuse Brother Chu's invitation? Please. The two of them left the side hall and strolled around the palace. Along the way, the maidservants came and went, and when they saw Chu Kuangren and Li Xingchen, they would respectfully bow to them. "Greetings, young Master Chu and young Master Li." "Yes." After a pair of maidservants passed by, Chu Kuangren said, "Brother Li, you've changed. You don't even look at these pretty girls anymore." Hearing this, Li Xingchen's heart skipped a beat. Only then did he remember that Li Xingchen used to be a stickler for appearances. When he saw good-looking people, he could not help but take a second look. However, now that there were so many beautiful maidservants in the palace, he did not even look at any of them. Did this make Chu Kuangren suspicious? "Brother Chu, you must be joking. In terms of looks, Brother Chu is the most beautiful person in this world. With you here, no one else can enter my eyes." Li Xingchen laughed and brushed it off. "You're giving me goosebumps." Chu Kuangren looked at Li Xingchen strangely. "Brother Chu, please don't misunderstand. I'm not that interested." The two of them and Lan Yu came to a garden. Seeing that there was no one around, Chu Kuangren said, "During the battle last night, the demonic cultivators came for the demonic heart, but it has disappeared. Who do you think has it?" "How would I know?" "Oh, it's beating in your body. Don't you know?" Hearing this, Li Xingchen's face froze. How did Chu Kuangren know that he had a demonic heart? "Brother Chu, I didn't mean to lie to you, but this demonic heart is very important. I was afraid that you'd think I've strayed into the demonic path, so I hid it from you because I couldn't think of a way to explain it." Li Xingchen quickly explained. "All right, stop pretending, Eternal Sage King." Chu Kuangren laid his cards on the table. With a thought, the Battle Monarch domain had already locked onto Li Xingchen, suppressing him. Even though he was a Sage King, he was still in the form of a remnant spirit. Although he had taken over Li Xingchen's body, Chu Kuangren's domain still made him feel an immense pressure. It was as if he was a mortal in a swamp, unable to move. However, the pressure from the domain was nothing compared to the pressure in his heart. The Eternal Sage King looked at Chu Kuangren in shock, not knowing how Chu Kuangren saw through his identity. He had just taken over Li Xingchen's body last night. How could he be seen through today? This was too fast. "Brother Chu, what are you talking about? Why would I?" Li Xingchen, "No." The Eternal Sage King wanted to say something, but the domain energy suddenly increased, pressing him to the ground. "Get out of Li Xingchen's body," Chu Kuangren said coldly. The Eternal Sage King felt extremely aggrieved. As a Sage King, he had never bowed down to anyone before, let alone kneeling like a dog in front of someone. Although he did not know how Chu Kuangren did it, he knew that Chu Kuangren's determination meant that he had seen through his identity. "Chu Kuangren, you better be careful. This body now belongs to Li Xingchen. I'm now one with him, so if I die, he will die too," the Eternal Sage King said coldly. "Oh, so you're threatening me now?" So what if I am? What can you do to me? I don't know how you saw through my identity, but if you don't want Li Xingchen to die, you better let me go," the Eternal Sage King sneered. The Eternal Soul Transference technique was very powerful. His remnant spirit had attached itself to Li Xingchen's body, and it had merged with his own demonic heart. The spirit and physical body had merged so perfectly that no one could separate them. "Just in time, I'll use you to test this thing out." With a flash of light in Chu Kuangren's hand, a pitch-black chain suddenly appeared. An incomparably gloomy aura suddenly spread out. This aura made the Eternal Sage King's pupils dilate, and a very uneasy feeling arose in his heart. "What is this?" the Eternal Sage King asked in shock. Chu Kuangren did not answer him. He threw the hook end of the chain out, and the chain suddenly became a little illusory as it pierced straight through the Eternal Sage King's body. At that moment, the Eternal Sage King's expression turned into one of extreme fear. "What are you doing?" His remnant spirit began to tremble uncontrollably as if it had met its natural enemy. Come out." Chu Kuangren snorted coldly, and with a violent tug, the chain flew out from Li Xingqian's body. At the same time, it pulled out a gray-robed, white-haired elder. This elder was hooked by the hook of the chain and was tightly bound, unable to move. It was the Eternal Sage King's remnant spirit. How is this possible? How is this possible? Chapter 165. How is this possible? How is this possible? The Eternal Sage King, who had been dragged out of Li Xingqian's body by the Soul Retriever, was in disbelief. He could feel that the Soul Retriever was constantly releasing a chilling aura to numb his sage spirit. This is a weapon that targets the soul. And it's of a very high grade. How did you get something like this? The Eternal Sage King roared. Weapons that targeted the soul were too rare. Even he had never seen one before. He had only heard of it. Chu Kuangren had such a weapon on him, and it just so happened to be used against him, who had just successfully taken over his body. The Eternal Sage King was so angry that his sage spirit was trembling. Destiny, is this destiny? Do you really want me dead? No, no, not even that sage war could kill me. I refuse to believe that a mere chain can do anything to me. The Eternal Sage King struggled with all his might as his sage spirit trembled violently. Chu Kuangren gently tugged on the Soul Retriever, and the chilling aura on the Soul Retriever intensified. The Eternal Sage King was corroded by that energy, and his sage spirit was frozen into an ice sculpture. Chu Kuangren, what do you want? The Eternal Sage King said weakly. I'm a little curious. What do you mean by sage war? Tell me, and I might spare your life, Chu Kuangren said. The Eternal Sage King's expression changed. However, he was now on Chu Kuangren's chopping block. He had no choice but to listen to him if he did not want to die. The Sage War was a great war that took place 50,000 years ago. All the participants were sages, which is why it's called the Sage War. Wait, all the participants were sages? Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. He glanced at Lan Yu, who was beside him. Lan Yu was also quite surprised. 50,000 years ago, all the participants were sages. It seems that this was the war that the sage ruler Light participated in. Lan Yu said. When she obtained the Scepter of Light, she had obtained some memory fragments of the sage ruler Light. One of them was a terrifying war that also took place 50,000 years ago. If she was not mistaken, it was the Sage War that the Eternal Sage King mentioned. Sage Ruler Light? There was indeed a Sage Ruler who participated in the Sage War. I have some impression of him, the Eternal Sage King said. Continue. What is the Sage War's purpose? To become a martial emperor. In that age of chaos, the great Tao did not appear. In order to become emperors, the saints set up a great formation and let the saints fight inside, causing the saints' Taos to interweave and collide. They tried to use this method to stimulate the great Tao and make the great Tao manifest, making the opportunity to become emperors appear. The Eternal Sage King explained. Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised to hear that. I didn't know there was such a method. To become an emperor, you guys really put in a lot of effort. Did you guys succeed? I don't know. I didn't make it to the end in the Sacred War. However, before my physical body perished, I saw the sage's Taos interweave into golden auspicious clouds in the sky. The great Tao manifested and the Emperor's Qi appeared. Wait, Emperor Qi? Yes. The corner of Chu Kuangren's mouth twitched. Did you guys create such a huge commotion just for 1 or 2 streams of primordial Emperor's essences? I know what you're thinking. It's not worth it. The Eternal Sage mocked himself. He now had 49 streams of primordial Emperor's essences, and he did not even need to start a sacred war. This is the benefit of being in this era. Chu Kuangren, you weren't born during the Dharma decline era, so you don't know how crazy the people of that era were to become emperors. The Sacred War was just one of the many experiments. The Eternal Sage King said calmly. Alright, since the Sacred War was started and the Emperor's essences appeared, there must be a winner in the end, right? Who was it? I don't know. I've already said that my physical body perished midway. It was not until recently that my sage spirit awakened. As for what happened in the tens of thousands of years in between, I have no idea. The Eternal Sage King shook his head. I see. Where is the battlefield of the Sacred War? Chu Kuangren asked the last question. In the past, we called it the Tali Desert, but now, you guys call it, the Ancient Battlefield. Oh, one of the 10 great forbidden areas, the Ancient Battlefield. Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. The 10 great forbidden areas were the most dangerous places in Firmament Star. Even a sage might not come out alive after entering one of them. The Ancient Battlefield was one of them. It was said that countless battles had taken place in the Ancient Battlefield. It was surrounded by ferocious qi all year round, making it extremely dangerous. I should go take a look when I have the chance. Chu Kuangren felt an urge to take a risk. He suppressed this impulse and tugged on the soul retriever. The Eternal Sage King let out a scream as the soul retriever unleashed a terrifying chilling energy that tore at his remnant spirit. Chu Kuangren, you went back on your word. The Eternal Sage King stared at Chu Kuangren with hatred. Did I promise you anything? I said that I might be able to keep you here, but it was just a possibility, not a certainty. Besides, what use is a remnant spirit like you to me? You even tried to harm my friend. If I don't kill you, do you think I'll keep you alive for the new year? Chu Kuangren curled his lips and pulled hard on the soul retriever. The Eternal Sage King's remnant spirit instantly shattered and disappeared. Chu Kuangren used the Eye of Revelation to check on Li Xingchen. He only felt relieved when he did not find the Eternal Sage King. As long as the demonic heart is not destroyed, the Eternal Sage King will not die. This eternal soul transference technique can only give the Eternal Sage King one chance to possess someone else. This time, he's dead. Chu Kuangren kept the soul retriever. Li Xingchen, who was lying on the ground, slowly regained consciousness. He looked around in confusion before he jumped up and screamed while holding his head, Eternal Sage King, get out of my body. Stop yelling. He's dead. Chu Kuangren rolled his eyes beside him. Brother Chu, why are you here? It's all because of you. Chu Kuangren then told him about how he found the Eternal Sage King. I thought this old man was your golden finger, but I didn't expect him to be an old man who wants your life. Chu Kuangren said. Although Li Xingchen did not understand what Chu Kuangren meant by golden finger, he knew that Chu Kuangren had saved his life. It's all thanks to you, Brother Chu. From now on, my life belongs to you. If you need anything, just let me know. Chu Kuangren patted him on the shoulder and said, you don't have to be so polite if I'm your friend. Brother Chu. Li Xingchen was so touched. After settling the Eternal Sage King's matter, Chu Kuangren and the others stayed in the palace for another 2 days before they left. Congratulations, host. You've drawn a gold-grade item, the Verdant Emperor Sword. On the ferry boat, Chu Kuangren had drawn a gold-grade treasure sword. According to the Cultivation World's classification, it was a supreme weapon. Why is it a sword again? Chu Kuangren muttered to himself as he placed the honorable grade sword into the sacred emerald sword case. This was the 7th sword that he had drawn this month. Although each of them was a rare treasure sword, and he had the sacred emerald sword case to nurture them, the Descendant Self sword was more than enough for him. He did not know what to do with so many swords out of the blue. Was he going to use them as hidden weapons? One supreme sword at a time. TSK, what a tycoon. Chapter 166. Just as Chu Kuangren was traveling around the world, a piece of news suddenly spread throughout the Azure Dragon domain, shocking many people. The sect leader of the Black Heaven sect, Honorable Xian Qi, was preparing to transcend his tribulation. This incident shook the entire Azure Dragon domain. One should know that once a venerable successfully transcended the heavenly tribulation, he would reach the quasi-sage realm. As long as he accumulated enough, he could become a sage in the future. Was the Black Heaven sect going to have another sage? For a time, the entire Azure Dragon domain was discussing this matter. The Black Heaven sect is a sage orthodoxy to begin with, so there must be a sage behind them. However, if there's another sage, then it'll be terrifying. That's right. Even if it's a sage orthodoxy, there won't be many sages behind them. Every additional sage is crucial. TSK, the prerequisite is that Honorable Xian Qi successfully transcends the tribulation. Honorable Xian Qi's ascension, some people can't sit still anymore. When Honorable Xian Qi was young, he roamed the entire firmament star and offended countless people. It would be strange if those people let him succeed in his ascension this time. I wonder what kind of trouble they'll cause. The world was abuzz with discussion. Chu Kuangren had also received the news. Honorable Teacher is going to ascend soon. Let's return to the Black Heaven sect. Chu Kuangren made a prompt decision to end this trip and return to the Black Heaven sect instead. As for Li Xingchen, he tagged along to pay a visit. The atmosphere in the longevity hall of the Black Heaven sect was extremely tense. A few elders had gathered together and were discussing the arrangements for Honorable Xian Qi's ascension this time, including the location, the tools, and so on. Chu Kuangren walked in amidst the lively discussion. The first seat is back. Madman. Chu Kuangren entered the grand hall and bowed to each of the elders. Then, he looked at Honorable Xian Qi and said with dissatisfaction, Master, you didn't even inform me about such a big thing like ascension. Aren't you treating me like an outsider? It's just a tribulation. Honorable Xian Qi laughed. Chu Kuangren and the others were dumbfounded. It's just a tribulation? These words were easy to say. One should know that countless cultivators view the heavenly tribulations as nightmares. The slightest bit of carelessness would result in death. Honorable Teacher, how confident are you? Chu Kuangren asked. At least 70%. Honorable Xian Qi smiled proudly. Only 70%? Isn't that too little? Chu Kuangren frowned. When the elders heard this, they looked at each other. Was 70% little? Honorable Xian Qi shook his head and laughed. Madman, a 70% chance of success in something like transcending the ascension ordeal is already a miracle. Why don't you wait until you're 100% confident before going through the tribulation? Actually, I should have gone through the tribulation many years ago, but I've been accumulating my foundation all this time. Now, I've reached my limit. Alright, when is the tribulation? 7 days later. There's still time. Honorable Xian Qi was stunned. What do you mean? 7 days is enough for me to prepare some things for Master. 70% is too little, I need at least 90%. Chu Kuangren chuckled. In the next few days, he started to get busy. On this day, within the pill pavilion, a terrifying pill chi soared into the sky, condensing into 9 mysterious yellow pill clouds in the sky. Bursts of auspicious chi filled the air. Wherever the pill chi passed, the withered tree would receive a new lease of life. Many alchemists were attracted by this strange phenomenon. What a terrifying pellet aura. Is this a 9th grade sovereign pellet? No, it's probably a sage-to-be supreme pill. Is Elder's senior brother refining the pill? Nonsense, who else other than Elder's senior brother could do this? In the pill pavilion, the alchemy master Gujiang, who had just joined the Black Heaven sect not long ago, could not help but exclaim at the scene before him. A 9th grade sage supreme pill. I guess only Grandmaster Chu can refine something like this in the entire firmament star. This is too shocking. He had learned from Chu Kuangren for a while, but the more he learned, the more he felt that Chu Kuangren's alchemy level far exceeded his own. Not long after, Honorable Xian Qi and the others arrived. They looked at each other when they saw the pill transformation in front of them. What's Kuangren up to this time? Why did I say again? The pill clouds dissipated, and the transformation disappeared. Everyone thought that Chu Kuangren had finished refining the pill, but the door to the alchemy room was still closed. Why isn't he out yet? Should we go in and take a look? Outside the door, Lan Yu said to Honorable Xian Qi, Master said that if he doesn't come out, no one is to disturb him. Everyone was helpless and could only continue to wait. Not long after, another burst of pill chi soared into the sky, condensing into 9 pill clouds. Everyone was already used to it. The legendary 9th grade supreme pills in the alchemy world were as common as rice to Chu Kuangren. He could have them whenever he wanted. What a genius. One of the elders sighed. This was no longer something that could be described as a genius. This was a genius. A genius that defied common sense. About half an hour had passed. A creak was heard. The door to the alchemy room opened, and Chu Kuangren came out with 2 jade bottles, each containing a yellow and a green pill. Honorable teacher, you're here. Nonsense, how could I not be here when you've caused such a big commotion? Honorable Xian Qi said angrily. Disciple, aren't you worried about your tribulation? Chu Kuangren muttered, then handed the 2 jade bottles to Honorable Xian Qi and said, the yellow one is the rejuvenation pill, a sage supreme healing pill. It can quickly heal injuries. As long as you don't die, 1 pill will keep you alive. There are 3 in total, use them well during your ascension. There's only 1 green pill. This is the spring slumber pill, also known as the death-faking pill. If you feel like you can't hold on any longer, take this pill. It can put you in a state of suspended animation and deceive the heavenly tribulation. Although it's considered a failure, it's still better than losing your life. After Chu Kuangren finished introducing the 2 pills, he looked at the crowd and realized that everyone was looking at him like he was a monster. What's wrong? Do you have any more questions? No. Elder Rian shook her head and said, I just feel like I could do it if I were the one doing it. The pills given by Chu Kuangren were too precious. Without a doubt, they could greatly increase the success rate of ascension. The rejuvenation pill is a sage supreme healing pill. It's very rare, let alone a 9th grade supreme pill. I'm afraid it's not any weaker than a sage pill. Master Chu, you're amazing. Gujiang gulped and looked at the spring slumber pill with a puzzled expression. This is the spring slumber pill. Why haven't I heard of it before? It'd be weird if you've heard of it before. This is the pill recipe that I got from the Gacha roll. Chu Kuangren muttered in his heart. This is the pill recipe that I obtained by chance. I've already tried it, so don't worry, honorable teacher, Chu Kuangren said. Honorable Xian Qi kept the pills and smiled. Of course I believe you. You've done so much for me. Thank you. With these pills, I'm at least 80% confident. Chu Kuangren shook his head. I've already said that you need at least 90% confidence. 80% is still not enough. The few elders smiled bitterly. After all, a cultivator could take the risk if they had a 50% confidence in ascension. 70% was already the limit. 80% is not enough? F***ck me, then no one in this world would dare to attempt ascension. Chapter 167. Honorable teacher, please follow me. Chu Kuangren said. Then, he brought Honorable Xian Qi and the others to a secluded mountain. It was the place that Honorable Xian Qi had decided on for the ascension. At this place, there were 4 black iron pillars standing at 4 corners, and there were mysterious runes engraved on them. When they arrived, they looked at the 4 iron pillars in confusion. What is this? I don't think this thing was here last time. The material of these iron pillars is special, and it seems to contain some kind of Taoist rhyme. This must be some kind of treasure. Kuangren, you didn't set this up, did you? Honorable Xian Qi asked curiously. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. Yes, these 4 iron pillars are called the Thundersuther rods. They can direct the power of the heavenly tribulation to the earth. Hearing this, the few of them were shocked. They had never heard of something like this that could direct the power of the heavenly tribulation. How could these iron pillars have such a magical effect? Led disciple, it's not that I don't believe you, but the ascension of the sect leader is not a trivial matter. Are these iron pillars really as magical as you say? One of the elders said. Chu Kuangren smiled without saying a word. He then walked into the 4 iron pillars and said to the elder, "Second elder, I remember that you're cultivating the 9 heavenly lightning sword art. You can attack me now." "I don't think that's a good idea." Second elder was a little hesitant. "Do it." "This." Second elder looked at Honorable Xian Qi. "Why are you looking at me? If Quangren wants you to attack, just do it. With your cultivation level, how can you hurt him?" Honorable Xian Qi said with a smile. He had already learned about Chu Quangren's current strength from the 7th forefather. Not to mention second elder, even he could not do anything to Chu Quangren. Every time he thought of this, he would feel melancholy. His disciple was too powerful, and as his honorable teacher, he was under a lot of pressure. "All right then." Second elder nodded. Then, he focused his sword finger and a surge of lightning-based Daoist rhyme erupted and turned into a lightning sword chi. The lightning sword chi swept towards Chu Quangren, but Chu Quangren stood inside the iron pillar and did not move an inch. When the sword chi approached him, the lightning power trembled and was actually distorted by an invisible force. It struck the metal pillar and then disappeared. Eh. The second elder let out a soft gasp before he struck out with his sword again. This time, it was stronger, but just like before, the lightning energy was channeled into the ground by the iron pillar. It could not hurt Chu Quangren at all. Interesting. The second elder soared into the sky, and a terrifying Daoist rhyme of thunder instantly filled the air. Dark clouds gathered, and thunder rumbled. A dazzling heavenly might engulfed the entire place, shocking everyone. "Chief, I'm going to use my full strength." "Please." Chu Quangren smiled. Everyone watched with rapt attention. "Thunder of the 9th heaven, for my use." The second elder let out a long roar, and the rolling thunder power in the dark clouds suddenly condensed into a huge thunder sword above his head. As the giant sword slashed down, the heavenly might shook the earth. Even a supreme honorable would not dare to be careless when facing this sword. However, Chu Quangren remained motionless. Boom! As the giant sword descended, the void trembled wherever it passed. However, when the giant sword approached the 4 iron pillars, the violent lightning energy was instantly distorted and channeled back to the ground. All that was left was pure sword chi that surged towards Chu Quangren. Without the support of the lightning energy, the sword chi did not pose any threat to him at all. The white lotus light of purification easily disintegrated the sword chi. Everyone was dumbfounded by what they saw. This iron pillar can really guide the lightning energy? Heavenly tribulations appear in the form of lightning. This means that this iron pillar really has the effect of guiding the heavenly tribulation energy. That's amazing. The second elder slowly landed on the ground and looked at the Thundersuther rod in awe. "Chief, where did you get this treasure from?" "I got it by chance." Chu Quangren smiled. The crowd's mouth twitched when they heard that. "You got the pill recipe by chance, and so did this Thundersuther rod. Why do you only have so many opportunities of fortune? You're really blessed by fortune, Chief." The second elder could not help but exclaim. Chu Quangren smiled faintly. Who asked him to be a cheat? He also got this Thundersuther rod from the lottery. Some time ago, he got a lot of good things from the lottery. Some of them were temporarily unused, so he left them in his inventory without retrieving them. The Thundersuther rod was one of them. He had to go back and see if there was anything else he could use in this tribulation. He had to be more thorough in his preparations. Looking at Honorable Xian Qi, who was admiring the Thundersuther rod, Chu Quangren sighed in his heart. Honorable Master's ascension had caused his disciple to worry a lot. With the eternal rejuvenation pill and this Thundersuther rod, I can say that this ascension is in the bag. Honorable Xian Qi laughed. Then, he seemed to have thought of something and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. As long as those guys don't get in the way. Hearing this, Chu Quangren's heart skipped a beat. He knew that Honorable Xian Qi had offended many people when he was young in Firmament Star. Most of these people were now big shots. Whether it was strength or power, they could not be underestimated. Now that Honorable Xian Qi was ascending, would they just sit back and watch? There's a sage in the Black Heaven sect. If those people want to come and cause trouble, they'll definitely find a way to deal with the sage. Only a sage can go against a sage. There are many sage orthodoxies in Firmament Star, but there are only a few who have a grudge against the Black Heaven sect. Who would come? Chu Kuangren thought. Inside a restaurant. A sloppy man with a broken arm was sitting in the corner, drinking. At that moment, a middle-aged man in a luxurious robe walked in front of the sloppy man and said, "I can't believe the famous swordsman of the Azure Dragon domain 1,000 years ago has fallen to such a state." The sloppy man glanced at the middle-aged man. "Who are you?" "Linghu Hong." "Linghu? What a rare surname." "From what I remember, the most famous Linghu clan is the Linghu family of the Scarlet Phoenix domain." The sloppy man burped. "Are you?" "Yes." "Why are you looking for me? Did you know that Honorable Xian Qi is about to ascend?" Boom! The wine jar in the sloppy man's hand suddenly exploded. He glared at Linghu Hong with bloodshot eyes. "Don't you dare mention that name in front of me." Linghu Hong did not care about the sloppy man's reaction and said, "You're poor here, but he's the leader of a sage orthodoxy. Now that he's about to ascend, once he succeeds, he'll become a sage. When that time comes, you and I are nothing more than ants in his eyes. Tell me, are you willing to watch all of this happen? If I remember correctly, he was the one who cut off your arm. So what if I'm not? That's a sage orthodoxy with a sage in charge. Do you think I can just kill my way up there?" The sloppy man said dejectedly. "The Linghu family has a sage too." "What do you mean?" "The Linghu family will deal with the Black Heaven sect sage. You and I will kill our way up to the Black Heaven sect and stop Xian Qi from ascending. If you're willing to stay here, I'll leave now." The sloppy man gulped down the last jar of wine, and a powerful sword qi suddenly erupted from his body. "I've never reattached this broken arm so that I can remember the humiliation that Xian Qi brought upon me. All these years, I've been indulging myself, but I've never stopped cultivating. Now, it's time to settle the score with Honorable Xian Qi." Chapter 168. Linghu Clan? Chu Kuangren could not help but be slightly surprised when he heard Elder Rian mention this organization. "You're saying that the people from the Linghu family might come looking for trouble?" Elder Rian nodded slightly. "That's right. Back then, when sect leader was training outside, he had a conflict with Linghu clan's Heaven's Pride, Linghu Hong. Linghu Hong had suffered many losses at sect leader's hands, so he has always harbored a grudge. They might come and cause trouble during the sect leader's tribulation this time." Chu Kuangren pondered for a while. The Linghu clan. This is going to be a problem. In the current world of swordsmanship in the Firmament Star, there was a saying, "One mountain, one sect, and two clans," which referred to the four orthodoxies that were most proficient in swordsmanship. One was Tempest Mountain, and the other was Black Heaven sect. The two families were the Linghu family and the Murong family. The one mountain, one sect, and two clans were all sage orthodoxies, and they were all proficient in the way of the sword. There were constant conflicts between them, both openly and covertly, wanting to prove that their sect's way of the sword was the strongest. Their relationship was very unfriendly. In particular, the Linghu clan and the Black Heaven sect were like fire and water. In the past, Honorable Xian Qi had beaten Linghu Hong so badly that he could not even lift his head. The other party hated Honorable Xian Qi and the entire Black Heaven sect to the core. It was very likely that he would take advantage of Honorable Xian Qi's ascension to take action. Apart from Linghu Hong, sect leader has also offended quite a number of people when he was traveling in the past, such as Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries of the 7 Heroes of the Way of the Sword. When he was young, he challenged sect leader to a duel and was defeated by sect leader in 3 strikes. There's also Feng Wuchang. His arm was severed by the sect master, also, the first elder of the Jadewater sect, the rogue cultivators of the 36 Isles, Supremacy Zhualang, Supremacy Lifeless, Chu Kuangren's head was spinning from listening to her. Looking at Elder Rian, who was still going on and on, he hurriedly cut her off. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Why does Master have so many enemies? Sigh, who doesn't offend people when they're young and frivolous? Kuangren, didn't you offend quite a few geniuses as well? Elder Rian said indifferently. But this is too much. The corner of Chu Kuangren's mouth twitched. What kind of master did he have? You're so good at attracting hatred? After sending Elder Rian off, Chu Kuangren rubbed the space between his eyebrows. It seemed like he would be busy during Honorable Xian Qi's ascension this time. I hope they can be more open-minded and don't come looking for death. Chu Kuangren murmured as a cold light flashed across his eyes. Black Heaven Sect, on a mountain peak. Honorable Xian Qi sat on the ground inside the Thundersoother rod with his eyes slightly closed. There was a mysterious Taoist rhyme circulating around his body. At this moment, he seemed to have sensed something and raised his head to look at the sky. He's here. As soon as he finished speaking, the clouds in the distance began to surge, as if ink had dripped into a basin of clear water and was gradually dyed with a layer of ink. Dark clouds gathered and surged towards him. Everywhere it passed, a brilliant heavenly might filled the air. Every single cultivator in the Black Heaven Sect could feel it. It's a heavenly tribulation, a heavenly tribulation. What a terrifying aura. Sect leader's heavenly tribulation is finally here. This is my first time watching someone go through a tribulation. Once the sect leader succeeds in his ascension, our Black Heaven Sect will have one more boundary sage. In the future, we will have another sage. Yeah, I hope God blesses us. Don't worry, sect leader will definitely succeed. Everyone looked in the direction of the dark clouds, their eyes filled with anticipation. Elder Rian and the others quickly made their way to the mountain peak where Honorable Xian Qi was, ready to stand guard for him. On the mountain peak, Elder Rian, the seventh forefather, and the others stood guard. This guy is much more outstanding than I am. I haven't ascended in so many years, but he's already one step ahead of me. The seventh forefather looked at Honorable Xian Qi and smiled. Beside him, Elder Rian smiled and said, previously, seventh forefather entered the heavenly deterioration stage 5, which was why there was no hope for ascension. Now that you've returned to your peak, ascension is just around the corner. Our Black Heaven Sect will definitely prosper. Compared to whether or not I can successfully ascend, the Black Heaven Sect's prosperity still depends on that little guy, the seventh forefather said. Everyone knew who the little guy he was referring to was. Elder Rian agreed with him. Yeah, that kid Kuangren is too amazing. Just look at the ascension this time. Every single item he brought out is a peerless treasure. Whether it's opportunities of fortune or talent, he's unprecedented. Whether or not the Black Heaven Sect can prosper forever depends on whether he can continue to grow and dominate this era. At that moment, a white-robed figure arrived not far away. It was Chu Kuangren, whom the seventh forefather and the others were discussing. Greetings, elder and seventh forefather. How's honorable teacher doing? Chu Kuangren bowed and asked. Seeing how worried he was for Honorable Xian Qi, the crowd was relieved. Don't worry, lead disciple. The heavenly tribulation hasn't begun yet. Not bad. With these items that you've prepared, the sect leader's ascension this time is almost certain. Chu Kuangren nodded. I still can't be careless. Who knew what kind of trouble his honorable teacher's enemies would come up with? The dark clouds in the sky became thicker and thicker. The terrifying domineering aura grew stronger as well, and every living being within a 10,000-mile radius shuddered from the bottom of their hearts. Heavenly might. This was the true heavenly might. It's about to begin, the seventh forefather said solemnly. The dark clouds tumbled and formed a huge black vortex. Streaks of blue lightning flashed wildly within it. A blue beam of light suddenly descended from the sky and locked onto Honorable Xian Qi. The beam of light was extremely terrifying as it sealed off the space, leaving Honorable Xian Qi with no way to escape. He could only face the heavenly tribulation head-on. Otherwise, he would perish under the heavenly tribulation. Honorable Xian Qi slowly stood up as a surge of sword qi erupted from his body. Majestic sword-based Taoist rhymes circulated around his body. In the distance, the sword mountain trembled as a purple longsword rushed over like a stream of light. It rushed into the beam of light and stopped in front of Honorable Xian Qi. This sword was the sacred sword, Purple Star. Once, Honorable Xian Qi wielded this sword and dominated the firmament star. After he became the Black Heaven sect leader, he returned the sword to the Sword Mountain. Old friend, let's fight this heavenly tribulation together. Honorable Xian Qi held the purple star in a heroic manner. Meanwhile, in the distance, a violent energy wave erupted from the direction of the Black Heaven sect. Then, Elder Rian's communication compass vibrated. When she received the message, her expression instantly became extremely gloomy. Someone has come to the Black Heaven sect to cause trouble. Hearing this, everyone's expression became extremely strange. Even a fool would know that these people were here to cause trouble at the Black Heaven sect at this time for Honorable Xian Qi. Then, messages came one after another. There were people causing trouble everywhere in the Black Heaven sect, and many disciples had been injured or killed. D***M it, they're trying to lure us away from the sect leader. Elder Rian and the others were extremely angry. You guys go and deal with those small fries. At this time, Honorable Xian Qi said. Sect leader, but you won't have anyone to protect you. I don't need protection. When I'm going through the heavenly tribulation, they won't dare to touch me. When I'm not going through the heavenly tribulation, they won't be able to touch me. Honorable Xian Qi laughed loudly. When a cultivator was going through the heavenly tribulation, anyone who interfered would also become the target of the heavenly tribulation. Therefore, those people did not dare to touch Honorable Xian Qi when he was going through the heavenly tribulation. They could only attack when the heavenly tribulation was charging up. At that time, Honorable Xian Qi would be free. Go quickly. Let those people know that the Black Heaven sect is not a place where just anyone can come and cause trouble. Honorable Xian Qi said. We'll be back as soon as possible. Elder Rian and the others gritted their teeth and led some people to quell the chaos. Chapter 169. Honorable Xian Qi stood alone on the peak of the mountain, facing the lightning tribulation alone. Behind him were only Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu. Chu Kuangren said to Lan Yu, you should go and help Elder Rian. Master, can you do it alone? They're just a bunch of thieves. I can handle them alone. Lan Yu hesitated for a moment, then nodded and left. Now, only Honorable Xian Qi and Chu Kuangren were left on the mountain. Kuangren, why are you still here? Honorable Xian Qi held the purple star sacred sword in his hand and turned to look at Chu Kuangren. To protect Honorable Teacher. Alright then. Watch how Honorable Teacher faces the heavenly tribulation. Perhaps it will be of help to you in the future. Honorable Xian Qi laughed. Boom! At this moment, a blue lightning bolt as thick as a bucket fell from the black vortex, and its target was Honorable Xian Qi. The first heavenly tribulation had begun. Honorable Xian Qi's expression froze. When the lightning bolt was about to reach him, it was deflected by the thundersoother rod beside him. It directly hit the rod, and a large amount of lightning energy was directed to the ground. The first heavenly tribulation had been passed just like that. Honorable Xian Qi was a little stunned. Kuangren, your thundersoother rod is really extraordinary. This heavenly tribulation is too easy for me. Honorable Teacher, don't be careless. This is only the first heavenly tribulation. There were at least 9 heavenly tribulations for cultivators, and each one was stronger than the last. The last one might even be comparable to a sage's attack. After the first heavenly tribulation, the rolling dark clouds were accumulating the power of the second heavenly tribulation, and there was no movement for the time being. Suddenly, Chu Kuangren's expression changed slightly. A murderous aura suddenly appeared in the air. Not far away, a sloppy man with a broken arm slowly walked up the mountain. This person's body was filled with extremely sharp sword chi, and the flowers and trees everywhere were all cut into pieces by the sword chi. It was a mess. "Oh, it's you, Feng Wuchang." Honorable Xian Qi glanced at the sloppy middle-aged man and recognized him. "Honorable Xian Qi, you've accepted a good disciple. In the entire Black Heaven sect, he's the only one to protect you." Feng Wuchang glanced at Chu Kuangren and said indifferently. "Heh, if it wasn't just me, would you dare to show yourselves?" Chu Kuangren sneered. Then, he looked at the chopped flowers and trees behind him and said coldly, "Even if it's just a blade of grass or a tree, it belongs to the Black Heaven sect. No one can touch it." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly raised his palm. Boundless energy of the earth gathered around him, and with a slap of his palm, a divine mountain instantly appeared. Feng Wuchang's expression changed slightly. He raised his hand and slashed out with his sword. The terrifying sword chi slashed onto the divine mountain, and the violent impact forced him to take a few steps back. What terrifying strength! Chu Kuangren truly lives up to his name. Feng Wuchang said solemnly. He had heard a lot of rumors about Chu Kuangren. Now that he was facing this peerless sky pride head-on, he felt a tremendous amount of pressure. When he thought of this, he became extremely jealous of Honorable Xian Qi. Why was it that he had sunk into a wine shop all these years, while the other party was a high and mighty master of an orthodoxy, even taking in a disciple like this? This was too unfair. "Huh, Honorable Xian Qi, long time no see." Loud laughter could be heard as a sword ray flew towards them from afar. It landed in front of them and turned into a white-haired old man in a green robe. The sword chi around the old man was no weaker than Feng Wuchang's. Buzz buzz, suddenly, a buzzing sound could be heard from the void. It was as if countless swords were vibrating. A white-haired man walked up from the foot of the mountain, holding an ancient longsword in his hand. Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries. Honorable Xian Qi revealed the man's identity. Ever since Honorable Swordsman White Cloud's death, Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries' Sword Dao cultivation base was second only to him in the Azure Dragon domain. Of course, that did not include Chu Kuangren. Hee, what a grand occasion. An old man wrapped in a black robe walked over. His body was surging with a majestic Taoist rhyme, like the endless waves of the sea. One by one, the experts appeared and surrounded the mountain peak. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Chu Kuangren activated his eye of revelation and scanned through the crowd. "Looks like you guys brought quite a lot of people." The Jade Watersword Sect's senior elder, Feng Wuchang, Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries, Honorable Zhuolang, and the others who caused trouble in the Black Heaven sect. There must be a mastermind behind this. Still not coming out? Chu Kuangren looked somewhere in the void. A ripple appeared and Linghu Hong walked out from the void, looking at Chu Kuangren with admiration. "Little guy, we're here for your honorable teacher. It has nothing to do with you. You can save your life if you leave now. Are you out of your mind? If you're here for my honorable teacher, how can it have nothing to do with me?" Chu Kuangren curled his lips and said. Linghu Hong's face darkened when he heard that. "You don't know what's good for you." Boom. At that moment, the second heavenly tribulation struck towards Honorable Xian Qi. Everyone quickly looked over. They saw that the heavenly tribulation energy was still directed to the ground by the Thundersoother rod. The scene before them shocked Linghu Hong and the others. What is this? How can it direct the heavenly tribulation energy? What a great treasure! No wonder Honorable Xian Qi dared to go through the heavenly tribulation. It's because of this item. Linghu Hong and the others' hearts skipped a beat. They felt that things had developed beyond their expectations because they did not know that the Black Heaven sect had such a treasure that was specifically designed to counter heavenly tribulations. Initially, they planned to attack Honorable Xian Qi after he was done with the heavenly tribulation and was exhausted. However, it seemed that he had such a treasure that he could definitely save most of his energy to deal with them. Linghu Hong, you've miscalculated. Today, You're destined to come to the Black Heaven sect without leaving. Honorable Xian Qi laughed and held the purple star in his hand, ready to deal with Ling Hu Hong and the others first. At that moment, Chu Kuangren stepped forward and stopped him. Honorable teacher, please save your energy to deal with the heavenly tribulation. Leave them to me. What? Not only Honorable Xian Qi, but Ling Hu Hong and the others were also stunned. There were a total of 5 of them here, and all of them were Honorable Supremes. Chu Kuangren actually said that he wanted to deal with all 5 of them alone? Who did he think he was? A sage? Arrogant. Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries snorted coldly. I'll kill you today. I'll show Sword Prayer City and the whole world that your so-called #1 position in the 100-sword spectrum is nothing but a joke. The 100-sword spectrum was widely recognized in the world of swordsmanship, but Chu Kuangren's ranking as #1 had always been controversial. Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries was one of the people who disapproved of it the most. Kill. Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries made his move. With his first slash, majestic sword chi gushed out as if 1,000 swords had formed a giant sword. In the face of this attack, Chu Kuangren's expression was incomparably calm. The Descendant's self-sword appeared in his hand, and a terrifying Daoist rhyme instantly erupted. With one slash, the sky-covering purple sword ray tore apart the giant sword's shadow in almost an instant and blasted onto Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries. The dignified Supreme Honorable Swordsman was directly blasted away by this slash. A large amount of sword chi wreaked havoc on Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries' body. His clothes were torn apart, and sword wounds appeared on his body. In the blink of an eye, he was covered in blood and looked extremely pathetic. Just one slash was enough to make everyone's pupils shrink. Severely injuring the Supreme Honorable Swordsman with one slash? What kind of terrifying strength was that? I'm the #1 in the 100-sword spectrum, and you dare to object? Chapter 170. I'm ranked first in the sword spectrum. Do you dare to object? Chu Kuangren said calmly. He had severely injured Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries with just one attack, and at the same time, intimidated the remaining 4 Honorable Supremes. The few of them stared at Chu Kuangren in disbelief. Each of them was an Honorable Supreme, and they were Sky Prides who dominated their own regions when they were young. However, they now felt that their so-called talent was not even worth mentioning in front of Chu Kuangren. Severely injuring an Honorable Supreme with one attack. Since when was there such a monster in the younger generation? Let's attack together. Third Forefather Ling Hu can't hold off the Black Heaven sect sage for too long. We must end this quickly. Ling Hu Hong said. He made a prompt decision and attacked Chu Kuangren. With one attack, the might of an Honorable Supreme was fully unleashed. Let me see the sword techniques of a swordsman family. Chu Kuangren chuckled and unleashed all 3 Daoist physique transformations. 9 Heaven Sword Prison, Green Lotus Sword Song, Sword of the Heavens. A terrifying sword-based Daoist rhyme surrounded Chu Kuangren, and a majestic spiritual power flowed within his body. Every time he swung his sword, the terrifying power brought great pressure to Ling Hu Hong. Moreover, Chu Kuangren's understanding of Dao techniques was too deep, and his exquisite 9 orifices sword heart directly suppressed Ling Hu Hong's sword-based Daoist rhyme. If Ling Hu Hong was not a veteran Honorable Supreme who was far stronger than Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries, he would not be able to withstand more than a few attacks from Chu Kuangren. I've long heard of how amazing Chu Kuangren is. But this level of strength is just too ridiculous. Even the young emperor of my Ling Hu family does not have such combat strength. I can't believe the Black Heaven sect has such a monster. Ling Hu Hong was extremely shocked. At that moment, Honorable Zhuo Lang, the Jade Watersword sect's senior elder, and Feng Wuchang also attacked Chu Kuangren together with Ling Hu Hong. In an instant, all kinds of Dao techniques shone brightly and shook the void. Not far away, Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries took out a medicinal pill and swallowed it. His face turned pale as he watched Chu Kuangren, who was facing off against 4 Honorable Supremes all by himself. I can't believe this person is so strong. Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries had seen all kinds of sky prides, but he swore that no one could compare to Chu Kuangren. I admit it, you are indeed worthy of being ranked first in the sword spectrum. But Xian Qi will definitely fail his tribulation today. While Chu Kuangren was busy dealing with 4 Honorable Supremes, Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries dashed towards Honorable Swordsman Xian Qi. The other party had just completed the 3rd Heavenly Tribulation. What Venerable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries wanted to do was to exhaust the other party's stamina as much as possible so that the other party would fail the Heavenly Tribulation. During the battle, Chu Kuangren had also noticed Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries' whereabouts. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. You're courting death, aren't you? A black chain suddenly flew out of his body, streaking across the sky like a black bolt of lightning. Venerable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries, who was charging towards Honorable Xian Qi, felt a chill run down his spine. His scalp went numb and the blood in his body almost froze. Danger. It was extremely dangerous. Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries quickly turned around and slashed with his sword. The sword Qi hit the Soul Retriever and sent it flying. However, the Soul Retriever was a sage ruler weapon and was made of very special materials. Even a sage might not be able to damage it at all. The sword Qi of Venerable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries could not destroy the chain. It circled in the air for a while and continued to attack him as if it had a consciousness of its own. What the hell is this thing? Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries dodged the Soul Retriever. His instincts told him that if he were to be hooked by the chain, he would not end up well. Chu Kuangren pulled the other end of the Soul Retriever and manipulated it to chase after Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries. The Soul Retriever was very special. It was as if it could extend indefinitely, so it could catch up to Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries no matter where he ran to. Not long after, the length of the chain had reached more than 10 kilometers. It circled in the air and emanated a strange fluctuation. Not only that, but Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries was also trapped in the encirclement formed by the chain. The area where he could dodge was getting smaller and smaller. Quick, stop him! Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries yelled. Ling Hu Hong, Feng Wuchang, and the others hurriedly activated their ultimate techniques. Several different Taoist rhymes and majestic spiritual powers suddenly erupted. Soaring destruction. Torrential waves. Winds of impermanence. Ever-flowing emerald water. 3 surges of sword Qi and 1 palm Qi blasted towards Chu Kuangren. This was the combined attack of 4 Honorable Supremes, and it was extremely powerful. White Lotus Light of Purification. Chu Kuangren stood still on the spot. Suddenly, white lotuses appeared around him and swayed in the air. It was a beautiful sight to behold. When the 4 surges of energy collided with the white lotuses, there was no earth-shattering explosion. The white lotuses were shattered one by one, but the techniques that Ling Hu Hong and the other 3 Honorable Supremes had unleashed were also disintegrated. Taoist rhymes and spiritual Qi intertwined and collided in the air, and eventually, everything returned to nothingness. Not far away, Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries finally could not hide anymore. He was tightly entangled by the Soul Retriever, and the hook at the end of the chain pierced into his body. However, there was no sign of blood at all. The hook was like a large demonic hand that stirred an Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries' body. Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries first let out a tragic cry, and then his eyes gradually became empty. What's going on? There's something strange about this black chain. Ling Hu Hong and the others stared at Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries, and then they saw a scene that made their scalps tingle. They saw that the hook had actually grabbed another Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries' body. To be precise, it was his soul. Why is this happening? My physical body, what the hell is this thing? Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries watched helplessly as his soul was pulled out of his physical body. His face was filled with horror. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and activated the gluttonous devouring technique, sucking Honorable Swordsman of 1,000 Cries' physical body into the avarice dimension for refinement, turning it into an incomparably pure flesh and blood essence. The spiritual power that was originally more than half consumed was quickly replenished. This chain can target the soul. D***, why does he have such a thing? Ling Hu Hong and the others were so scared that their faces turned a little pale. Methods that targeted the soul were too rare and too terrifying. Quangren really has a lot of treasures on him. I can't believe he even has such a weapon that targets the soul, Honorable Xian Qi murmured. Then, he shook his head and smiled, not planning to ask about it later. He was sure that Chu Quangren would only answer him with 2 words, and that was opportunity of fortune. Although he knew that Chu Quangren had secrets in his heart, the other party was also his good disciple, so Honorable Xian Qi chose to believe him unconditionally. Chu Quangren held the soul retriever in one hand and the descendant self sword in the other as he looked at the few honorable supremes in front of him. From the moment you chose to come to the Black Heavens sect to stop my honorable teacher from ascension, you were destined to fail. Today, my honorable teacher will successfully ascend and become a sage in the future, and all of you will stay here. Chu Quangren said coldly and then pulled the soul retriever hard. Honorable swordsman of 1,000 cries' soul let out a heart-wrenching scream as cracks appeared on his soul. Then, it exploded silently, and his soul was scattered. No, this chain is too terrifying. Moreover, Chu Quangren's combat strength cannot be underestimated. A long battle is disadvantageous. Looks like I can only use the item given by the 3rd forefather. Ling Hu Hong gritted his teeth and then took out a small golden sword. A mysterious sword-based Taoist rhyme emanated from it. Chapter 171. Ling Hu Hong took out a small golden sword, and a mysterious sword-based Taoist rhyme filled the air, shocking everyone present. Venerable Zhuolang, Feng Wuchang, and the others couldn't help but take several steps back. Honorable Xian Qi's expression changed slightly. Heart-piercing sword. That's right, it's the heart-piercing sword. Ling Hu Hong sneered. The heart-slaying sword was a saint ruler technique of the Ling Hu family. Only a few people in the entire Ling Hu family had been able to successfully comprehend it. This sword could pry open one's Tao heart, kill and destroy the heart. The 3rd ancestor left me this heart-slaying sword. I wanted to use it against you, but I didn't expect it to be used on your disciple. Without saying a word, Ling Hu Hong threw the small golden sword in his hand. Quangren, be careful. Honorable Xian Qi's expression changed and he was about to rush out of the Thundersuther rod to block the sword Qi. However, at this moment, his heavenly tribulation descended and a pillar of light shrouded his body, preventing him from leaving. Buzz! The golden sword pierced through the void at an incredible speed and instantly pierced into Chu Quangren's body, causing him to tremble slightly. Ling Hu Hong and the others were delighted to see this. This is the heart-killing sword used by a sage. Those who do not have a strong enough Taoist heart, even if they are an honorable supreme, will be instantly torn apart by the sword Qi. Ling Hu Hong laughed heartily. This is the heart-killing sword? It's nothing much. However, at that moment, Chu Quangren's calm voice slowly rang out. Ling Hu Hong's smile suddenly froze. Then, he looked at Chu Quangren with his eyes and mouth wide open. His face was filled with shock. Impossible. This is impossible. How could you block the heart-killing sword with your cultivation? Ling Hu Hong could not believe it. The heart-killing sword can kill people's hearts. Have you never thought that your so-called 3rd ancestor can't destroy my Tao heart? Chu Quangren said indifferently. He possessed the bolder Tao heart, which was difficult to shake. In the past, the mental staircase of the Whitelock Saint could not do anything to him at all, and the same was true for the heart-killing sword. As for Ling Hu Hong and the others, they had also guessed something and were shocked. How could a junior have such a Taoist heart? Chu Quangren's innate talent and unshakable Taoist core. This Chu Quangren is a monster. Honorable Zhuolang gulped. He regretted it. He regretted coming to the Black Heaven sect. Now, it was difficult to even escape. Boom! A heavenly tribulation descended and blasted towards Honorable Xian Qi. The Thundersoother rod directed the energy of the heavenly tribulation to the ground, but a portion of the energy was already attacking Honorable Xian Qi. However, this portion of the heavenly tribulation's power could not affect him. Chu Kuangren glanced at him and chuckled. Honorable teacher, continue with your ascension in peace. I can deal with these small fries. He lightly tugged on the Soul Reaper chain, and the pitch-black chain emanated a strange aura as it shot towards Feng Wuchang. After witnessing the might of the soul-reaping chain, Feng Wuchang's face changed drastically. Sword Qi revolved around his body to block the soul-reaping chain. However, as Chu Kuangren channeled his spiritual power into the Soul Retriever, the hook at the end of the chain began to emanate waves of terrifying dark qi. The sword qi shattered, and the chains wrapped around Feng Wuchang. He had a terrified expression on his face and wanted to escape, but he couldn't break free from the chains. Go! Supremacy Zhuolang no longer wanted to get involved in this mess. He turned into a streak of light and fled into the distance. At that moment, a streak of sword light surged and sent Supremacy Zhuolang flying back. It was the seventh forefather. He glared at them coldly. Today, all those who came to cause trouble in the Black Heaven sect shall not return alive. D****. Get lost. Supremacy Zhuolang attacked ferociously, and a majestic Taoist rhyme erupted. Chu Kuangren tugged on the Soul Reaper chain, and Feng Wuchang's soul was also hooked out, shattered into pieces. Both the Jade Watersword sect's senior elder and Ling Hu Hong were extremely afraid of the Soul Reaper chain. Unwilling to face it head-on, they exchanged a glance and attacked Chu Kuangren from both sides, trying to fight for a chance of survival. Humph, idiots. Chu Kuangren snorted coldly. With one hand, he controlled the Soul Reaper chain to fight the Jade Watersword sect's senior elder while the other wielded his sword to fight Ling Hu Hong. He was able to fight on equal footing with both of them at the same time. As time passed, the troublemakers that Ling Hu Hong and the others sent to cause trouble in the Black Heaven sect were dealt with one by one. Elder Ruyan and the others finally arrived. The people of the Ling Hu family are despicable. Humph, go to hell. With the addition of Elder Ruyan and the others, Ling Hu Hong and the others could be said to have lost the upper hand. The Jade Watersword sect's senior elder had to deal with the Soul Reaper chain while fighting the Black Heaven sect's honorable. In the end, he was caught by the Soul Reaper chain, and his soul was torn apart. It was the first time Elder Ruyan and the others had seen the Soul Reaper chain. They were also shocked by the weapon and felt their scalps tingle. Fortunately, this weapon is in Kuangren's hands. If it were an enemy, the consequences would be unimaginable, Elder Ruyan said. Yeah, I wonder where the lead disciple got it from. I know, it must have been obtained by chance. Elder Ruyan said with a smile. The other elders rolled their eyes. What she said was as good as not saying anything. Die, Ling Hu Hong. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and unleashed a sword attack. A surge of Emperor's aura filled the air. It was the heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique that had been upgraded to an Emperor technique. Faced with this attack, even a veteran Honorable Supreme like Ling Hu Hong could not withstand it. He yelled, "Third Forefather, save me! Stop!" A slightly angry voice came from the void. However, Chu Kuangren did not have any intention of stopping. He slashed his sword and a violent purple sword ray instantly engulfed Ling Hu Hong. A supreme being had perished and his Tao extinguished. The void trembled. A white-robed elder stepped into the void with a boundless aura. This person's aura was far stronger than an honorable supreme. This was the sage aura. He was a sage. I told you to stop, why didn't you? The white-robed elder stared at Chu Kuangren with anger in his eyes. Facing the sage aura, Chu Kuangren was neither humble nor arrogant. He deserves to die for coming to the Black Heaven sect and trying to disrupt my honorable teacher's ascension. That's right, he deserves to die. Behind Chu Kuangren, a white-haired elder slowly walked out. He patted Chu Kuangren's shoulder and smiled. Young man, you did well. You're right too. You should address me as third forefather. Third forefather? Black Heaven's third forefather. The sage behind the Black Heavens sect. Chu Kuangren's expression turned serious. Greetings, third forefather. You're welcome. Black Heaven's third forefather smiled faintly and then looked at the white-robed elder in the sky. Third forefather Linghu, the juniors of your clan have come to Black Heaven's sect to cause trouble. They deserve to die. What, do you still want to fight? You. Third forefather Linghu was speechless. They were in the wrong in the first place, but it was impossible for them to sit back and watch as the Black Heaven's sect gained another sage. Initially, with him holding off Black Heaven's third forefather, Linghu Hong, and the other Honorable Supremes, they would definitely be able to stop Honorable Xian Qi from ascension. Who would have thought that Chu Kuangren would appear? While the rest of the Black Heavens sect was busy dealing with other people, this young man could fight against 5 Honorable Supremes alone. At this moment, to third forefather Linghu, Honorable Xian Qi was far less of a threat than Chu Kuangren, who was only in the Battle Monarch realm. Black Heaven sect, you guys sure are lucky. Third forefather Linghu gritted his teeth and said. Whether it was Honorable Xian Qi's ascension or having a disciple like Chu Kuangren, the Black Heaven sect could be considered lucky. However, it was not good news for the Linghu clan. Chapter 172. Boom! Another wave of heavenly tribulation descended. This was Honorable Xian Qi's 7th wave of heavenly tribulation. At this time, the power of the heavenly tribulation was extremely strong. Even the Thundersuther could not direct all of the power of the heavenly tribulation to the ground. After the 7th wave of heavenly tribulation descended, the majestic impact directly flattened the entire mountain, and the Thundersuther was also sent flying. At this point, Honorable Xian Qi was completely exposed to the heavenly tribulation. Everyone present stared at him without blinking. Third forefather Linghu was the same. Although the operation had failed, he was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he stayed to see if Honorable Xian Qi could successfully overcome the heavenly tribulation. Old friend, let's fight side by side again. Honorable Xian Qi held the purple star, and the sword-based Taoist rhymes on his body continued to rise. He had activated the heavenly crepe myrtle sword technique to the extreme. He looked at the 8th wave of heavenly tribulation that was accumulating power with a solemn expression. A beam of light descended and locked onto Honorable Xian Qi. Immediately after, the 8th wave of heavenly tribulation descended, and the violent power it contained made Elder Ruyan and the others feel a wave of fear. Come! Honorable Xian Qi raised his hand and slashed. A terrifying purple sword light surged out wildly. It was the heaven-slaying sword drawing technique. He had successfully comprehended this sage ruler technique, and with his honorable supreme cultivation base, it seemed like the world was about to be torn apart. The sword light and lightning collided in the void. The terrifying shockwave spread out like a tide, wave after wave, constantly sweeping in all directions. Trees, rocks, and everything around them were destroyed. Honorable Xian Qi was sent flying by the impact, and a huge pit was formed on the ground, with countless cracks spreading out. In the pit, Honorable Xian Qi's robe was torn, and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. There were electric arcs jumping on his body, constantly destroying it. The power of the 8th wave of heavenly tribulation is beyond imagination. Honorable Xian Qi murmured. Just one blow was enough to injure him quite a bit. With his current physical condition, he might not be able to overcome the last wave of heavenly tribulation. Third forefather Linghu's eyes lit up. He kept cursing Honorable Xian Qi for failing to overcome the heavenly tribulation. Honorable Xian Qi stood up, took out a golden pill, and swallowed it. A huge wave of medicinal power instantly swept through his limbs and bones. Waves of Taoist rhymes filled the air, and his injuries were rapidly recovering. Third forefather Linghu was dumbfounded. This is a sage-to-be healing elixir. Third forefather Linghu exclaimed in astonishment, that's not right. Even a quasi-sage healing pill doesn't have this kind of effect. This is at least a quasi-sage treasure pill, and it's at least a grade 7 treasure pill. There were not many alchemists in the entire firmament star who could refine sage-grade medicinal pills, let alone quasi-sage-grade supreme pills and above. Where did Xian Tian's sect find such an alchemist? The pills refined by Kuangren are indeed very useful. Honorable Xian Qi laughed heartily as sword qi emanated from his body. He was ready to face the 9th wave of heavenly tribulation with his full strength. Rumble, rumble, dark clouds surged, and the power of lightning surged wildly. The light of heavenly tribulation locked onto Honorable Xian Qi once again. A ferocious beast made of thick lightning energy crawled out of the dark cloud vortex. It looked a little like a dragon. The thunder dragon roared, and a terrifying aura emanated from it. Then, the thunder dragon swooped down towards Honorable Xian Qi. Wherever it went, the void trembled violently, and the mountains and rivers trembled. This attack had reached the level of a sage's attack. Elder Ruyan and the others were worried. No wonder so many people are afraid of ascension. This 9th wave of tribulation is so powerful. How can an honorable withstand it? Only those veteran honorable supremes with deep foundations can withstand it. But there are still 8 more waves of tribulation before that. Ascension is indeed a narrow escape. Chu Kuangren, who was watching from the side, also broke out in cold sweat for Honorable Xian Qi. He wished he could rush up and take his place. With his strength and immortal body, he was not afraid at all. However, even if he rushed up, the power of tribulation would not let Honorable Xian Qi go. There was a high chance that both of them would have to endure an even more terrifying power of tribulation. Heavenly tribulations were unavoidable and irreplaceable. In the face of this last wave of tribulation, Honorable Xian Qi roared. He did not choose to draw his sword, but instead took out a bronze shield. The shield was placed horizontally in front of him and became huge, blocking the thunder dragon. All that was heard was a deafening explosion. Then, cracks appeared on the shield. Honorable Xian Qi's pupils shrank slightly. He did not expect that the item he had carefully prepared for ascension would not be able to withstand the 9th heavenly tribulation. The shield shattered, and the thunder dragon crashed into Honorable Xian Qi's body like a hot knife through butter. He urged the sword qi in his body to resist, but there was still a large amount of lightning energy ravaging his body. At this critical moment, Honorable Xian Qi bit the 2 rejuvenation pills that he had previously kept in his mouth. The medicinal power erupted and healed his body. It was like a tug of war, causing Honorable Xian Qi to repeatedly jump on the edge of life and death. In the end, because Honorable Xian Qi had preserved most of his spiritual power and physical strength, coupled with the medicinal power of the rejuvenation pills, he finally survived the last wave of tribulation. We did it. Huh, that's great. Elder Ruyan and the others were relieved and overjoyed. The dark clouds in the sky dissipated and were replaced by purple auspicious clouds. Between the firmament, waves of Daoist rhymes reverberated. Honorable Xian Qi stood where he was. Suddenly, an incomparably mysterious feeling emerged in his heart, and the Daoist rhymes on his body continued to strengthen. At this moment, all the powerhouses in the world seemed to have sensed something and looked in the direction of the Black Heaven sect. Oh, someone has passed the heavenly tribulation. As long as this person doesn't die, another sage will be born in this world in the future. That's the direction of the Black Heaven sect. The Black Heaven sect is really lucky. Inside the Black Heaven sect, Third Forefather Linghu's expression was extremely ugly. He scoffed coldly and was about to leave. At this moment, a sage Daoist rhyme locked onto him, brewing a terrifying killing intent that made his heart skip a beat. It was Black Heaven's third forefather. You came just like that, and now you plan to leave just like that? Don't you think the Linghu family has no respect for the Black Heaven sect? Take it. Third Forefather Linghu took out a yin and yang ring and tossed it to Third Forefather Black Heaven. Yo, 60 million upper tier soul stones and 30 drops of heaven's spiritual marrow. You're treating me like a beggar. Third Forefather Black Heaven's expression turned cold. Don't go too far. These things are enough to cause countless orthodoxies to fight over them. Isn't that enough? Not enough. It's far from enough. Then what else do you want? The Black Heaven sect wants another spot for the sword gauntlet. Impossible. Third forefather Linghu said coldly. Very well, the Linghu family will lose a sage today. Third forefather Black Heaven said coldly. From afar, a terrifying burst of chi erupted from the depths of the Black Heaven sect and locked onto third forefather Linghu. Black Heaven's second forefather. That old fart isn't dead yet. Third forefather Linghu's expression changed. He then gritted his teeth and said with a pained expression, fine, the Linghu family will give you one more spot. Words alone are no proof. Swear on your Taoist core. The so-called Taoist core oath was to swear on one's Taoist core and let the great Tao bear witness to it. Once the oath was broken, one's Taoist core would be tarnished, making it difficult for one's cultivation base to improve. In the worst-case scenario, one would be haunted by inner demons and never be able to find peace for the rest of their lives. Even demonic cultivators were extremely wary of this Taoist core oath. Third forefather Linghu had no choice but to obediently swear on his Taoist core oath and leave in a sullen manner. This time, not only did the Linghu family fail to prevent the Black Heaven sect from gaining another boundary sage, but they also lost an honorable supreme, a large number of soul stones, and even an important spot. Chapter 173. Honorable Xian Qi had completed his ascension and successfully entered the boundary sage realm. As long as he worked hard, becoming a sage was just around the corner. Xian Qi, congratulations. Black Heaven's third forefather smiled at Honorable Xian Qi. This is all thanks to Kuangren. Without him and the interference of the Linghu family, things would not have been so easy. Honorable Xian Qi laughed. He looked at Chu Kuangren with a gratified look. This young man is indeed talented. I've asked the Linghu family for an additional quota for the sword gauntlet, so I'll let him lead the team. A quota for the sword gauntlet? That's great. Honorable Xian Qi's eyes lit up. Beside him, Chu Kuangren was a little confused. This so-called sword gauntlet seemed to be very important to even the sages. However, he temporarily suppressed his doubts. Although Honorable Xian Qi had completed his ascension, this matter was not over yet. Other than the Linghu family, there were also a few forces that came to Black Heaven sect to stir up trouble. The Black Heaven sect would not let these forces go. They would have to deal with them. Among them, the Jadewater sect was the strongest. It was an honorable orthodoxy that was second only to the sage orthodoxies. Naturally, the Black Heaven sect would not let them go. They immediately sent people to suppress this force, and the one leading them was Chu Kuangren. On the ferry boat, Chu Kuangren stood on the deck and looked at the sea of clouds. What a tiring life I have. I just finished dealing with the demonic onslaught in the Qian nation, and now I have to help my honorable teacher with his ascension. Now I have to suppress an honorable orthodoxy. How inhumane. He looked up to the sky and sighed helplessly. Beside him, the seventh forefather smiled and said, the sect leader must have his reasons for doing this. Young man, do you know that now that the sect leader has stepped into the boundary sage realm, the next step is to slowly build up his foundation to become a sage? This is a long process. If there are no other opportunities, it could take a few hundred years or a few thousand years. The less disturbances the better. I'm afraid the sect leader has decided to retire. Chu Kuangren was stunned. If he retires, what will happen to the Black Heaven sect? Has the next sect leader been decided? He had only asked casually, but when he saw the seventh forefather staring straight at him, his heart skipped a beat. With a face full of bewilderment, he pointed a finger at himself. It can't be me, right? It's you. Damn, what kind of joke is this? You want me to be the sect leader? There are so many elders in the sect. Elder Ruyan would be fine too. You have enough prestige, enough power, and you're the only disciple of the sect leader. If I don't look for you, who else would I look for? The seventh patriarch laughed. I'm just a battle king. Tell that to the others and see who will believe you. The seventh forefather could not help but roll his eyes. Stop teasing me. You are a battle king, but you can hang a supreme honorable being up and beat him up. Sending you here to suppress the Jade Water Sword sect is also a way for you to practice your skills and build up your reputation in the outside world. This will pave the way for you to ascend to the position of sect leader in the future, the seventh forefather continued. Sigh, we'll see. Chu Kuangren shook his head helplessly. Within the Jade Water Sword sect, a few elders were pacing back and forth anxiously. What should we do now? According to the news, the Great Elder has been killed in the Black Heaven sect. The Black Heaven sect will not let us go. An elder said anxiously. We should have stopped the Great Elder back then and not allowed him to act on his emotions. Now, he's stirred up such a huge disaster. That's right. Let's think about how to deal with the Black Heaven sect first. How are we going to deal with them alone? Enough. At that moment, a woman in green robes shouted and stopped the crowd. She was the current sect leader of the Jade Water Sword sect. What are you panicking for? The Jade Water Sword sect will not perish. The Jade Water Sword sect leader said coldly. Sect leader, do you have any ideas? Young Emperor Linghu is still here. He promised to protect the Jade Water Sword sect. Let him handle this, the Jade Water Sword sect leader said. The elders felt slightly relieved when they heard that. If they were to fight the Black Heaven sect alone, they would definitely lose. However, things would be different if young Emperor Linghu was included. The Jade Water Sword sect represented the Linghu family, which was also a sage orthodoxy. Even the Black Heaven sect would have to think twice. In a garden of the Jade Water Sword sect, a young man in a black robe was strolling with a smiling young lady. The young lady was very close to the young man and seemed to be on good terms with him. Big brother Linghu, thanks to your guidance, I've improved a lot. The young lady smiled. The young man in black robes had a gentle look in his eyes. It's my duty. Oh right, Lu Yen, I'll be returning to the Linghu family in a few days. Are you willing to go with me? The young lady was pleasantly surprised when she heard that. Really? Big brother Linghu, you're really willing to bring me back to the Linghu family? Of course. You're my woman. Where else would you go if not to the Linghu family? Don't worry, you're very talented. With my guidance, you'll definitely break through to the honorable level in a few years. Big brother Linghu, you're so good to me. Lu Yen hugged the young man in black robes, her eyes filled with tenderness. Heh, silly girl. Who else would I be good to if not you? The young man in black robes smiled. At that moment, he frowned slightly. Not far away, a Jade Water Sword sect leader slowly walked over and bowed. Greetings, young emperor. Lu Yen blushed and let go of the young man in black robes. She then said to the Jade Water Sword sect leader, you're here. Yes, I have a favor to ask of you, young emperor. Speak, the young man in black robes said. The people from the Black Heaven sect are about to reach the Jade Water Sword sect. With our current strength, it'll be difficult to stop them. I hope the young emperor can lend us a hand. Don't worry about that. My uncle has an agreement with the Jade Water Sword sect. Although he's now dead in the Black Heaven sect, the Linghu family will still honor our promise. Besides, Lu Yen is here too. Big brother Linghu. Lu Yen was touched again. Thank you, young emperor. The Jade Water Sword sect leader's eyes lit up. Then, she thought of something and said, by the way, the person who brought them here is Chu Kuangren. A hint of surprise flashed across Linghu's young emperor's eyes. Chu Kuangren? The legendary Chu Kuangren who's ranked first in the 100 sword spectrum? Yes, that's him. Big brother Linghu, I've heard that this person is very powerful. Why don't you ask for help from your family? Lu Yen said worriedly. Although Linghu's young emperor was afraid of Chu Kuangren, he could not show his fear in front of his woman. He sneered and said, "Chu Kuangren, I've long wanted to meet this person. Now that I have the chance today, how can I miss it? Let me see what he's made of." Looking at Ling Hu's young emperor's high-spirited look, Liu Yan could not help but admire him. "Big brother Ling Hu, I believe you can defeat Chu Kuangren. In my heart, you're the strongest. That's only natural." At that moment, the ferry boat from the Black Heavens sect had arrived at the Jade Watersword sect's airspace. Many cultivators saw the flying flag on the ferry boat and knew that it was the ferry boat of the Sage Orthodoxy, the Black Heaven sect. There were also sword cultivators standing on the ferry boat. Every single one of them was emanating an extremely sharp sword chi, and they looked very imposing. Chapter 174. Those are the people from the Black Heaven sect. Why are they here? And why are there so many of them? What are they doing here? They're all sword cultivators. Heavens. 1, 2, 3. There's a total of 18 ferry boats, and there are at least 100 sword cultivators on each ferry boat. Judging from the way these sword cultivators are trained, they're the disciples from the Hall of Battle who are the best at combat in Black Heaven sect. What are they doing? This is the territory of the Green Water Sword sect. Do they want to start a war with the Jade Water Sword sect? Oh my god, this is big news. All the cultivators who saw the Black Heaven sect's ferry boats were scared out of their wits. Even though the ferry boats were far away from them, they could still feel the sword chi that filled the sky. It was too scary. On the ferry boat, a Hall of Battle disciple walked up to Chu Kuangren and said respectfully, "Elder's senior brother, the Jade Water sect is just ahead." Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. Understood. Not long after, Chu Kuangren had a full view of the Jade Watersword sect. Surrounded by mountains and water, it was indeed a treasure land. Unfortunately, this treasured land was going to see blood today. Inside the Jade Watersword sect, countless disciples saw the mighty Black Heaven sect's ferry boat and the sword cultivators with sharp sword auras. What's going on? Why are there people from the mysterious Sky sect here? And they don't look like they've come with good intentions. No way. The Jade Water sect is a top-notch honorable orthodoxy. Does the Black Heaven sect want to declare war on us? Why are you doing this for no reason? Most of the disciples had no idea that the Jade Watersword sect's Grand Elder had gone to the Xian Heaven sect to cause trouble. Only a few of the higher-ups were not surprised to see what had happened, and their expressions were grave. He's finally here. Whether or not the Jade Watersword sect can survive this ordeal depends on the will of the heavens. Buzz buzz, at that moment, the space above the Jade Watersword sect suddenly twisted. A huge light shield formed above the sect like an upside-down bowl. This is the great protective formation of the Jade Watersword sect. Many orthodoxies had similar mechanisms, but they were usually not used lightly. They would only be activated in times of crisis. This was undoubtedly a moment of life and death for the Jade Watersword sect. After the formation was activated, a green figure flew out. It was a beautiful woman, and she was none other than the leader of the Jade Watersword sect. Fellow Taoists of the Black Heaven sect, why have you come from afar? The sect master of the Green Water sect smiled faintly and asked despite knowing the answer. Chu Kuangren curled his lips and stepped out into the air. With every step he took, the sword-based Taoist rhymes on his body grew denser, crashing against the void like a tidal wave, crashing towards the sect master of Green Water. Below them, the Jade Water sect disciples saw Chu Kuangren. Although they were enemies now, they could not help but be attracted by Chu Kuangren's fairy-like appearance and extraordinary temperament. So this person is Chu Kuangren. He really is extraordinary. It is rumored that this person is ranked first in the 100-sword spectrum and has even killed a supreme being. His strength is extremely powerful. I never expected that he would personally come. Looks like this isn't a simple matter. Even the immortals in the heavens are only a so-so. Do you think it's too late for me to defect to the enemy? Among the crowd, Liu Yan had also noticed Chu Kuangren. A look of amazement flashed across her eyes. She then looked at the young emperor of Linghu beside him and felt that he was much better looking than Linghu. Despite thinking that, she let out a soft snort. You're just a man of appearance. Compared to brother Linghu, you're nothing. Linghu's young emperor felt much better upon hearing that. Lu Yen is right. A man of appearance is nothing compared to me. Yes, brother Linghu is the best. If the sect master of Green Water heard their conversation, she would definitely curse out loud. This was because compared to the others, she was more aware of how terrifying Chu Kuangren was. That terrifying sword-based Daoist rhyme locked onto her, making her, an honorable supreme, shudder. Was this the Daoist rhyme that a man of appearance could possess? Bullsh *T. Rumor has it that Chu Kuangren's cultivation level is not high, but he can spar with a sage. How terrifying! The sect master of Green Water looked at the white-robed Chu Kuangren before her, and cold sweat broke out on her smooth forehead. Chu Kuangren looked at the sect master of Green Water's sect and said indifferently, "You should know very well why we're here today. Now, I'll give you 2 choices. 1. Submit to the Black Heavens sect and pay tribute every year. 2. Send the entire sect to hell." The sect master of Green Water sect's expression changed drastically when she heard the second choice. Isn't the Black Heaven sect a little too overbearing? Besides, what the senior elder did has nothing to do with us. It's all his doing alone. She then took out a letter. This was left behind by the senior elder before he left. It clearly states that he has completely severed all ties with the Jade Watersword sect, and that whatever he did has nothing to do with us. Chu Kuangren did not even bother to look at the letter. You can say whatever you want since the person is dead. Not to mention one letter, even if you take out 10 or 100 of them, who knows if they're fake or not. The senior elder's Daoist rhyme is on this letter. It can't be faked. Heh, it's just a Daoist rhyme. What can it prove? Even if he really did write this letter, why didn't the Jade Watersword sect announce it to the world at the first instance? Now that he's dead after causing a ruckus in the Black Heaven sect, you're only taking out this letter to shirk all responsibility. Do you really think it's that easy? Besides, if you're not guilty, why did you activate the sect's mega protective formation the moment we arrived? Chu Kuangren said coldly. The Jade Watersword sect master's expression was extremely ugly. F***CK, how could we not activate the mega protective formation when you're making such a big fuss about it? What if you suddenly attack? Of course, the Jade Watersword sect master knew that it was useless to say anything like that. Chu Kuangren's attitude was already clear. No matter what they said or what so-called evidence they brought out, the Jade Watersword sect only had 2 choices before them. They could either surrender and become a vassal, or they could destroy the entire sect. Seeing is believing. Chu Kuangren's reputation is indeed well-deserved. Just then, a burst of laughter rang out. Linghu's young emperor leaped into the air and exited the sect's mega protective formation, arriving before Chu Kuangren. Suddenly, his expression changed and his pupils shrank as he stared at Chu Kuangren in fear. Only when he exited the mega protective formation did he feel Chu Kuangren's terrifying sword-based Daoist rhyme. His heart shuddered. The Jade Watersword sect is under the protection of the Linghu family. Linghu's young emperor also activated his Daoist rhyme and said coldly. Chu Kuangren glanced at him. You can represent the Linghu family? I'm the Linghu family's young emperor, Linghu Teng. Do you think I can represent the Linghu family? Linghu Teng said proudly. Oh, so you're a young emperor. Chu Kuangren came to a sudden realization. He then raised his hand and unleashed a palm attack. The violent palm energy blasted Linghu Teng hundreds of feet away. If your sage can't even protect the Jade Watersword sect, what more a mere young emperor like you? Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Chu Kuangren. How dare you attack me? Linghu Teng's expression was cold as ice. A sword appeared in his hand and he raised his hand to unleash a slash. An incredibly sharp Daoist rhyme emanated as thousands of sword chi converged into a tornado that rushed towards Chu Kuangren. Then, the Jade Water sect master activated the sect guarding formation, allowing the Black Heaven sect cultivators to enter. No one dared to stop them. What happened next was much simpler. The Jade Water sect opened their treasure vault, library, secret realms, and various other resources for Chu Kuangren and the others to take as much as they wanted. This was the price they had to pay. From then on, the Honorable Orthodoxy, Jade Water sect, would be reduced to a vassal of the Black Heaven sect. This news caused quite a commotion. Vermilion Bird Region. Inside the Linghu family's palace, a terrifying aura suddenly erupted. Chu Kuangren. You and I are irreconcilable. The maids and servants in the palace were all kneeling on the ground, trembling in fear. They did not know why the young emperor was so furious. In the room, Linghu Ting's face was so gloomy that it looked like it was about to drip water. Although Chu Kuangren had only killed his clone, that clone was something that he had painstakingly refined through his blood, sweat, and tears. Yet now, it had been destroyed by Chu Kuangren. More importantly, it had been destroyed with a single slap. This made him so frustrated that he almost vomited blood. Chu Kuangren, just you wait. Inside the Jade Water sect. Chu Kuangren was resting with his eyes closed. It would take a few more days to reorganize the entire Jade Water sect. He needed to have a complete grasp of the various treasures and disciples. Of course, these were not Chu Kuangren's concerns. The next day. Congratulations, host. You have drawn the legendary formation, the Four Seasons Sword Formation. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. A legendary formation? He retrieved the formation and a wave of enlightenment surged into his mind. Then, a joyful smile appeared on his face. What a powerful formation. The Four Seasons Sword Formation did not sound domineering, but its power was extremely terrifying and mysterious. After all, how could a legendary formation be simple? This formation was divided into 4 layers, namely the 4 seasons, the 12 months, the 24 solar terms, and the 365 days. It contained the mysteries of the changing seasons and the flow of time. The strength of this formation was also closely related to the user's cultivation level. The stronger the user's cultivation level, the more terrifying the formation's power. The 4 seasons require 4 swords to use, the 12 months require 12 swords, and so on. There are a total of 27 swords in the Sacred Emerald Sword case, enough for me to use the 3rd layer. With this sword formation, my combat strength can increase again. Chu Kuangren murmured. He was wondering how to use so many swords in the sword case, but now he had drawn a sword formation. At that moment, someone knocked on the door. Come in. A beautiful girl dressed in green walked in. Chu Kuangren frowned when he saw her. Who are you? Master, my name is Lu Yen. The sect leader asked me to serve you. Lu Yen looked at Chu Kuangren and said affectionately. She suddenly realized that compared to Linghu Teng, be it looks, strength, or status, Chu Kuangren was much more outstanding. If she could get close to him, it would be much better than following Linghu Teng. Serve me? I don't need it. You may leave. Master, are you dissatisfied with Lu Yen? No, I just don't need it. But this is the sect leader's arrangement. If I leave just like this, the sect leader will definitely punish me. Lu Yen was on the verge of tears. Chu Kuangren frowned. Leave. I'll talk to the sect leader of the Emerald Water sect. She won't punish you. Lu Yen gritted her teeth and left. Before she left, she bumped into Lan Yu. When she saw the young girl's stunning beauty, she felt a sense of inferiority. It's no wonder he doesn't like me. He has such a beauty by his side. Lu Yen thought to herself as she looked at Lan Yu with a hint of hostility. She then lowered her head and left. Lan Yu frowned slightly. Master, who is she? She was sent by the Emerald Water sect leader to serve me. I rejected her. Chu Kuangren said nonchalantly. I see. Lan Yu murmured, secretly keeping an eye on him. In the next few days, Lan Yu noticed that Lu Yan often appeared before Chu Kuangren. She even built up a good relationship with the Black Heaven sect disciples, asking them about Chu Kuangren's hobbies and habits. Lan Yu understood now. This woman was trying to seduce her master. Although Chu Kuangren was not interested in Lu Yan, Lan Yu was still a little annoyed. Especially after she received a certain piece of news, she could not hold it in any longer. Miss Lan Yu, I've made some pastries for Master Chu. I wonder if he's around? Outside Chu Kuangren's room, Lu Yan smiled sweetly as she held a wooden box in her hand. Lan Yu looked at her coldly and said, Master is not here. You don't have to come here anymore. Chapter 176. Lu Yan was stunned. What do you mean, Miss Lan Yu? I know what you're thinking. My master is not someone you can touch. Whether it's status or looks, you're not worthy of him. So you better watch yourself. Lan Yu said coldly. Lu Yan's expression turned sour. Of course I know Master Chu is of high status, but is it wrong to like someone? I just like him, that's why I'm being nice to him. I don't understand. Miss Lan Yu, why do you think I have ulterior motives? I know you like Master Chu too, but just because you like him, does that mean others are not allowed to like him? Lu Yan's voice was forceful as if she was fighting for her love. However, Lan Yu's gaze turned even colder. Gradually, a layer of frost covered her face. Shut up. Stop being so disgusting. First, everyone knows that my master is the fiancé of the Royal Azure Dynasty's fiancé. What you're doing is good to him. You're shameless enough to seduce a married man, yet you still dare to spout such nonsense. Second, you like my master? What about Ling Huteng? At the mention of Ling Huteng, Lu Yan's face turned pale. I heard that Ling Huteng came to Jade Water sect with his uncle, and within a few days, you were already with him. What a cunning move. Now that Ling Huteng is gone, you're eyeing my master, aren't you? What do you take my master for? Is he your tool to climb up the social ladder? B*TCH. That was what Lan Yu could not stand. She respected Chu Kuangren like a god, so how could she stand by and watch someone else use him and sully him in the name of liking him? You! How dare you insult me? Lu Yan was shocked. Insult you? I'm going to hit you. Lan Yu took a step forward, raised his right hand and sent a slap flying. With a slap, the man fell to the ground. Don't let me see you around my master again. Otherwise, it won't be as simple as this slap, Lan Yu said coldly. Lu Yan lay on the ground, her face filled with hatred. Then, as if she had seen someone, the hatred in her eyes receded and was replaced with a pitiful look as she looked behind Lan Yu. Lan Yu sensed something and looked behind her. Chu Kuangren walked towards them with a cold expression. Young master, I came to give you some pastries, but I don't know why Miss Lan Yu suddenly hit me. Lu Yan sobbed. Chu Kuangren's expression turned even colder when he heard that. Upon seeing that, Lu Yan secretly rejoiced. It seemed that her hard work over the past few days had paid off. Now that she had been beaten up, Chu Kuangren must be distressed. Judging by his expression, he would probably punish Lan Yu next. As long as he could get rid of Lan Yu, would he still have to worry about not being able to seduce Chu Kuangren? Thinking of this, Lu Yan seemed even more pitiful. Coupled with her red and swollen cheeks, she looked quite pitiful. Young master, Lan Yu, how's your hand? Does it hurt? Chu Kuangren said as he held Lan Yu's hand. Green Smoke, who was lying on the ground, suddenly stiffened. What the hell? I'm the one who's getting beaten up. Fear gradually appeared in Lu Yan's eyes. She realized that the development of the situation was completely different from what she had imagined. Young master, Lan Yu wanted to say something, such as explaining why she was against Lu Yan. Chu Kuangren said calmly, I know everything. He looked at Lu Yan on the ground with a cold gaze as if he was looking at an ant. He said, I've warned you many times not to get close to me, but it's obvious that you didn't listen. This is the Jade Water Sword sect, so let the sect master handle this. Then, Chu Kuangren turned around and left with Lan Yu. Young master, I really like you, I'm willing to be your slave and serve you, Lu Yen yelled from behind. She even wanted to rush up and grab Chu Kuangren, but she was sent flying by an invisible sword chi. She looked at Chu Kuangren's departing figure unwillingly. Why? Why won't you even give me a chance? Am I so worthless in your eyes? D*****. Not long after, the Jade Water Sword sect master arrived. She looked at Lu Yan's swollen cheeks and said, I've told you before that Chu Kuangren is not a man you can covet. The difference between you and him is like the difference between heaven and earth. Your little tricks might work on Ling Huteng, but rumor has it that Chu Kuangren's Taoist core is rare. How could he be fooled by you? Lu Yen was still unsatisfied. I've miscalculated. I didn't think that Lan Yu would suddenly attack me. Even without Lan Yu, it would still be the same. Forget it, from today onwards, you shall leave the Jade Water Sword sect, the sect master said. Lu Yan's expression changed. Why? The Jade Water Sword sect is now a vassal of the Black Heaven sect. Since you've offended Chu Kuangren, I can't let you stay here any longer. Pack up and leave the mountain tomorrow, the sect master said mercilessly. After she left, Lu Yen, who had yet to recover from her shock, was left behind. Her eyes were filled with hatred. Chu Kuangren, Lan Yu, soon, the matters at the Jade Water Sword sect were almost settled. Chu Kuangren had also brought the group back to the Black Heaven sect. Back at the Black Heaven sect, Chu Kuangren found Honorable Xian Qi and briefly told him about the reorganization of the Jade Water Sword sect. Yes, you've done well. There's one more thing I need to tell you. It's about the sword gauntlet, Honorable Xian Qi said with a smile. Sword gauntlet? Chu Kuangren's heart skipped a beat. He remembered that the Black Heaven third forefather had asked the Linghu clan for a slot to enter the sword gauntlet. Even the Linghu clan sage was heartbroken. It was obvious that the sword gauntlet was not as simple as it seemed. The sword gauntlet is located in the hidden sword canyon at the border between the Scarlet Phoenix domain and the Azure Dragon domain. Legend has it that it used to be a place of preaching for an ancient orthodoxy. There are records of countless swordsmen's sword techniques and other opportunities of fortune. It opens once every 10 years, and there are only 30 slots each time. The One Sword sect and the Mountain sect each take 5 slots, while the remaining 10 slots are left for the other swordsmanship forces. Now that the sword gauntlet is about to open, I'd like you to bring Murong Xian, Nangong Huang, and the others to the hidden sword canyon to enter the sword gauntlet. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly after he heard that. Sure. He was also very interested in the sword gauntlet. Moreover, there would probably be a lot of swordsmanship elites who would come to the sword gauntlet. It was a good opportunity for him to take a look. Also, when you return, prepare to take over my position as the Black Heaven sect leader, Honorable Xian Qi said. Chu Kuangren was stunned for a moment. The seventh forefather was right, Honorable Xian Qi really wanted him to be the sect leader. Honorable teacher, can we talk about this? No. Honorable Xian Qi said firmly, no one is more suitable than you to be the sect leader. No, I've only been the elder senior brother for a few years, and you suddenly want me to take over as the sect leader. I'm under a lot of pressure. What kind of pressure? Tell me, I'll help you settle it. The main thing is that I'm still inexperienced, and I don't have enough prestige. I'm afraid I won't be able to convince the masses, Chu Kuangren quickly said. It doesn't matter if you're inexperienced, you'll have the help of the elders. As for prestige, do you believe that if I spread the news that you're going to be the sect leader, everyone in the Black Heaven sect will raise their hands in approval? Your prestige is already higher than mine, and that's still not enough, Honorable Xian Qi said impatiently. Is there anything else you want to say? Since you've already said everything, what else can I say? Chu Kuangren said helplessly. Chapter 177. On the way to the Hidden Sword Canyon, Chu Kuangren sat on the ferry boat with his hand resting on his chin. He looked at the sea of clouds in front of him and sighed from time to time. Not far away, Murong Xian, Nangong Huang, and the others were watching. This is the 6th time. Murong Xian said. 6 eyes in an hour. Is big senior brother in trouble? Nangong Huang asked worriedly. It can't be, right? Eldest senior brother is so powerful. What kind of trouble could possibly stump him? Daoist Jun-yi was puzzled. Lan Yu happened to pass by them. Jun-yi hurriedly went up to her and asked, Lan Yu, do you know why senior brother sighed? Lan Yu pondered for a moment. Sigh, everyone looked at each other. No, why are you sighing? Young master, have some fruits. Lan Yu brought a plate of fruits to Chu Kuangren's side. Okay. Nangong Huang and the others gathered around Murong Xian. Under the crowds pushing and shoving, Murong Xian reluctantly walked out and said, eldest senior brother, have you encountered some trouble recently? Trouble? No, I'm eating well, dressing well, cultivating smoothly, and I'm getting more and more handsome. There's no trouble at all. That's not right. If there isn't any trouble, then why are you sighing here? Jun-yi said. Oh, you're talking about this. Chu Kuangren came to a sudden realization. He then shook his head and sighed. Sigh, now that you mention it, I feel a little helpless. Tell me, I'm still so young, yet my honorable teacher wants me to be the sect leader. Isn't this just nonsense? Hearing this, the few of them were stunned. What? That's it? Just where did you sigh for 2 hours? After all, there were many people who wanted to become a sect leader but failed, let alone the sect leader of a sage orthodoxy. This was a supreme glory. However, Chu Kuangren now had a look of disdain on his face. This made Murong Xian, Nangong Huang, and the others feel that it was ridiculous. I fully support eldest senior brother becoming the sect master. That's right. Be it prestige or strength, no one in the entire Black Heaven sect can compare to you, elder senior brother. It's only normal for you to be the sect leader. Nangong Huang and the others took it for granted. Upon seeing that, Chu Kuangren felt even more helpless. Is there a sect leader as young as me in this world? Hearing this, the crowd came back to their senses. Chu Kuangren was not even 20 years old this year. Not many sect leaders in the entire firmament star were as young as him. Not to mention being in charge of a sage orthodoxy. In that case, eldest senior brother might very well be the youngest leader of a sage orthodoxy in history. Heavens, this is way too impressive. As expected of eldest senior brother, you're amazing. Chu Kuangren was stunned. Why are you all more excited than me? Shouldn't you feel that it's inappropriate and then go back and ask the current sect leader not to pass the position to me? Sigh, I didn't expect that at such a young age, would have to bear so much pressure in addition to being handsome that my age shouldn't have. Chu Kuangren looked up and let out a long sigh. Hidden Sword Gorge was located at the border between the Vermilion Bird region and the Azure Dragon region. It was said that this place was once the teaching ground of an ancient sword Dao orthodoxy. Even though it was in ruins now, the Dao aura of many sword cultivators remained here, so there was an endless stream of sword cultivators that came here to observe. Especially since the sword gauntlet was about to open, the number of people who came here to watch the show was 10 times more than usual. Soon, Chu Kuangren and the others arrived. So this is the Hidden Sword Gorge. It really lives up to its name. Nangong Huang said in admiration. The Hidden Sword Gorge was huge, and the rock walls on both sides of the gorge were engraved with sword scars that emanated all kinds of mysterious Taoist rhymes. To a sword cultivator, this place was like a holy land. The sword gauntlet is located in the deepest part of the gorge. Eldest senior brother, should we go check it out first? Murong Xian said. All right. Chu Kuangren nodded, and the group walked towards the depths of the Hidden Sword Gorge. This group of people was very eye-catching. Especially Chu Kuangren, who was leading the group at the front. His extraordinary temperament made him the center of attention no matter where he went. Soon, someone guessed their identity. It's the people from the Black Heaven sect. So they're here too. TSK, the person walking at the front is so extraordinary. He must be the legendary Chu Kuangren. It must be him. Rumor has it that this person has sparred with sages and even killed honorable supremes. His strength is terrifying. Among the sky prides in the firmament star, I'm afraid not many can be compared to this person. This person is also known as the most promising person to become an emperor. The crowd discussed among themselves. Chu Kuangren did not care at all. He was used to the feeling of being the center of attention. As long as they did not suddenly rush up to him, he could ignore them. Compared to the crowd's discussion, he was more concerned about the countless sword scars on both sides of the gorge. Some of these sword scars were very old, and the remnant Taoist rhymes were also very thin. However, some of the sword scars were very new, as if they were freshly carved. Along the way, Chu Kuangren saw a sword cultivator who was trying to understand a sword scar. Then, he felt something and waved his sword, leaving a sword scar on the rock wall. It seems that the sword scars in this gorge are increasing by the minute. Chu Kuangren murmured. However, it was a pity that although there were many sword scars here, only a few of them could do anything to Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren's understanding of Dao techniques, especially sword Dao, was so deep that even an ordinary sage could not surpass him. The sword scars on the gorge were, at most, left behind by honorable supremes. How could they be of any use to him? I only hope that the sword gauntlet can give me some surprises. Chu Kuangren murmured. Gradually, Chu Kuangren felt an incredibly mysterious Taoist rhyme coming from the front. Then, he saw a tall black building. The building was 99 feet tall and had a total of 50 floors. It had sharp edges and was as straight as a sword. At the entrance of the building, there was a plaque with the words, "Sword Gauntlet," engraved on it. Every stroke of the plaque looked as if it was carved by a sword, and it exuded an incredibly cold sword-based Taoist rhyme. The Taoist rhyme that Chu Kuangren felt from afar was emitted from these two words. It was just two words, but it far surpassed the countless sword scars in the gorge. Chu Kuangren stared at the two words. In a trance, he seemed to see a white-robed man performing a sword dance in front of him, and sword chi surged in all directions. Chu Kuangren's body trembled slightly as his sword-based Taoist rhyme emanated and rushed towards the two words. It was as if he had crossed countless years to clash with the white-robed man across time and space. When the two sword-based Taoist rhymes met and collided, the entire hidden sword canyon shook. The Taoist rhymes on the countless sword scars on the walls were disrupted, and some of the weaker ones even collapsed. Hence, everyone was shocked as they did not know what was happening. Only a few strong swordsman cultivators who were closer to the sword gauntlet noticed something as they stared at Chu Kuangren's back in horror. He's resonating with the sword gauntlet's Taoist rhyme. This situation is like two great sword sages sparring in front of us. How did Chu Kuangren do it? The rumors are true. This person can really spar with a sage. So this is the sword gauntlet. This trip was not in vain. Chu Kuangren smiled and retracted his gaze. The sword-based Taoist rhyme around him dissipated, and he no longer looked at the two words. Chapter 178. Outside the sword gauntlet, Chu Kuangren crossed swords with the nameless swordsman who wrote the words, "Sword Gauntlet." The Taoist rhymes that they released affected the entire hidden sword canyon. Everyone who witnessed this scene was extremely shocked. Some of the strong sword cultivators pondered for a while before they went up to greet him. Rumor has it that the Black Heaven sect's lead disciple is extraordinary. It seems that you are indeed extraordinary. I'm the Sword Spectrum 61 Moon Chaser Sword. Greetings. Black Heaven sect's lead disciple, I'm Li Zhen. Black Heaven sect's lead disciple, we've met before in Sword Prayer City. Brother Chu, I trust you've been well. The sword cultivators outside the sword gauntlet greeted Chu Kuangren one by one. They seemed very enthusiastic, unwilling to let go of the opportunity to make friends with Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren smiled and greeted them one by one politely. It was obvious that he was already familiar with this kind of scene. At that moment, a figure entered the crowd. It was a middle-aged man in a luxurious robe. Unlike the other sword cultivators, he had a kind of merchant aura about him. He smiled at Chu Kuangren and said, "Brother Chu, based on past experience, the sword gauntlet will only open in a few days. If you don't mind, why don't you stay at my place for a while?" I'm Qian Fugui. I've opened a famed sword inn in the hidden sword canyon. It specializes in providing food and shelter for sword cultivators. Oh. Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. Then I'll do as you say. Come, fellow Taoists from the Black Heaven sect, please follow me. Qian Fugui yelled and led the way. The surrounding sword cultivators could not help but discuss among themselves. TSK, this Qian Fugui sure moves fast. He's already hooked up with Chu Kuangren. As expected of a businessman. Of course. Who do you think Chu Kuangren is? He's the #1 in the 100-sword spectrum. If we can build a good relationship with someone like him, there's nothing to lose. Along the way, Qian Fugui introduced Chu Kuangren and the others to the various sceneries in the hidden sword canyon, especially where the most mysterious sword scars were the easiest to understand. He was very familiar with the hidden sword canyon. Brother Qian, do you live in the hidden sword canyon? That's not it. I just opened a restaurant here and hired a few people to look after it. However, every time the sword tower opens, it's also the time when business is at its peak. So, I come over to take a look personally. Over time, I became familiar with the hidden sword gorge. Chu Kuangren finally understood. I see. When they arrived at Qian Fugui's restaurant, everyone couldn't help but be surprised. But how was this a restaurant? This was clearly a royal palace. Rows upon rows of pavilions rose from the ground, covering a vast area that was comparable to the White Jade Hotel that Chu Kuangren had been to in the past. To be able to open such a restaurant here, the amount of manpower and resources required was definitely not ordinary. Moreover, it was even more difficult to guard this restaurant. If one was not careful, they might even bring about a fatal disaster. This Qian Fugui was not simple. Chu Kuangren activated his eye of revelation and glanced at his opponent. Qian Fugui, the owner of the Fugui firm. He controls 1/10 of the Firmament Star's spirit stone reserves, and his businesses are spread across the 4 domains of the firmament. When he saw the feedback from the eye of revelation, Chu Kuangren's mouth twitched. It was the owner of the Fugui Trading Company. The Fugui Trading Company was the largest trading company in Firmament Star. They could be found in almost every industry that could earn soul stones. However, no one knew who the owner was. But now, such a person was standing in front of him. He had to admit that it was really a coincidence. Qian Fugui arranged a few rooms for Chu Kuangren and the others. All they had to do now was to wait for the sword gauntlet to open. Chu Kuangren, I'm Murong Feiyu. I'm here to learn from you. Today, a voice came from outside the famed sword restaurant. A man in a black robe with a long sword in his hand was standing outside the famed sword restaurant. His voice echoed throughout the restaurant. All the sword cultivators noticed and quickly looked over. When they heard the name of the person, they could not help but be shocked. It's him, Murong Feiyu. Oh, this name sounds familiar. I think he's the honorable swordsman who's ranked 71st in the sword spectrum. He's from the Murong family. The Murong family of the Black Warrior domain. One of the 1 mountain, 1 sect, and 2 families. Looks like we're in for a good show. The sword cultivators in the restaurant were watching the situation unfold. Nangong Huang and the others heard the voice too. They looked at Murong Feiyu outside the door with displeasure in their eyes. Who is this person? How dare he challenge elder senior brother? He's ranked 71st in the sword spectrum. My goodness, how dare he challenge elder senior brother who's ranked 1st? Where did he get the guts from? Not everyone knows what Elder's senior brother is capable of. Most people think that Elder's senior brother is ranked first in the sword spectrum because his descendant's self-sword has merged with a sword soul, giving him an advantage. That's why they're unhappy with Elder's senior brother. This person must be one of them. Nangong Huang said slowly. Beside him, Murong Xian looked at Murong Feiyu with a strange look in his eyes. He looked a little unnatural. What's wrong with you? Nangong Huang noticed that something was wrong with Murong Xian and could not help but be surprised. No, nothing. Murong Xian shook his head and continued, Murong Feiyu's strength is not ordinary. He became an honorable many years ago and cultivates the Murong clan's fiery sword technique. Its power is enough to burn rivers and boil seas. He's also an expert in the Murong clan. However, this is not the most troublesome thing. The most troublesome thing is that the person behind this person is the Murong clan's young emperor, Murong Yu. Murong Xian suddenly realized that Nangong Huang and the others were looking at him strangely. He immediately stopped and asked, "What's wrong with you guys? Murong Xian, why are you so familiar with the Murong clan? Wait, your surname is also Murong. Could it be, I have nothing to do with the Murong clan?" Murong Xian said resolutely. Oh. The crowd responded and did not pursue the matter. Murong Xian also came back to his senses. He knew that his firm denial just now was rather revealing. He said, "These are matters of the swordsmanship world. As sword cultivators, shouldn't we know more about it? We're in the Azure Dragon domain while the Murong clan is in the Black Warrior domain. We're so far away. Who would know so much about it?" Jun Yi murmured. "Look, it's Miss Lan Yu," Nangong Huang said. Lan Yu slowly walked out of the restaurant with a sword in her arms. She stopped in front of Murong Feiyu and said, "So you're the one who challenged Master?" Murong Feiyu stared at the sword in Lan Yu's arms with a fiery gaze. "I'm the one who challenged Chu Kuangren. Miss, the sword in your arms is very extraordinary. Can I have a look at it?" Lan Yu shook her head. "No, this is Master's sword." "Oh, where's Chu Kuangren now?" "Master is still meditating, but you're too noisy, so he asked me to bring my sword out. He said that he'll show himself if you can take a blow from him. He's not here, so how can I use my sword? Is he messing with me?" Murong Feiyu said coldly. "I can use my sword," Lan Yu said calmly. Then, the descendant's self-sword in her arms trembled slightly. With a clang, half of its jade-like body was revealed, and a terrifying sword-based Daoist rhyme emanated. Chapter 179. The descendant's self-sword trembled slightly, revealing half of its blade. Then, a terrifying sword-based Daoist rhyme emanated, and a bright sword ray shot out from the blade. The sword ray locked onto Murong Feiyu, making it hard for him to dodge. Not good. Murong Feiyu instantly made a decision. He unsheathed his longsword and unleashed his Daoist rhyme, unleashing a wave of heat. However, the sword ray tore through the wave of heat and landed on his body, tearing apart his spiritual energy barrier and sending him flying dozens of feet away. How is this possible? Murong Feiyu spat out a mouthful of blood as he lay on the ground with a pale face. His eyes were filled with horror. Lan Yu glanced at him and shook her head. "This is only a third of Master's sword chi, yet you can't even handle it. What right do you have to challenge Master? Leave now." Lan Yu then carried the sheathed descendant's self-sword and left. So this is the Murong clan's honorable swordsman. He's nothing special. How pitiful. He came to challenge him, but he couldn't even handle half of his sword chi. This Chu Kuangren is really scary. Could it be that Murong Feiyu is too weak? That's possible. Murong Feiyu's expression turned uglier as he listened to the whispers around him. Moreover, he was defeated so easily without even seeing Chu Kuangren. The more he thought about it, the more indignant he felt. "Stop right there. Leave your sword behind." Murong Feiyu yelled and leaped into the air. Sword-based Daoist rhyme emanated from his body and formed a raging wave of fire towards Lan Yu. However, Lan Yu's back was facing him at that moment. The crowd could not help but curse at how shameless he was. Trying to steal the sword just because he can't win? How shameless. Is this how the Murong clan does sneak attacks? Some people closed their eyes as they could not bear to see a beauty like Lan Yu perish just like that. However, at that moment, the descendant's self-sword in Lan Yu's arms trembled and was unsheathed with a clang. An unparalleled sword ray was unleashed. The sword chi contained a destructive sword-based Daoist rhyme that tore through the wave of fire. A mist of blood exploded in the air. Murong Feiyu was sliced in half by the sword ray. With a buzzing sound, the Kunwu's sword returned to its scabbard. The sharp sword Daoist rhyme that filled the sky dissipated, and everything returned to normal. If not for Murong Feiyu's corpse on the ground, everyone would have suspected that they were hallucinating. This is the remaining 2/3 of the sword chi. A sneak attack from the back is despicable. You deserve to die. After Lan Yu finished speaking, he hugged his sword and left without looking back. Everyone who had intended to watch a good show was stunned on the spot. They couldn't help but gasp in shock. A single sword chi was used twice. 1/3 to defeat a supremacy, 2/3 to kill a supremacy. F***ck, what kind of operation is this? It was too terrifying. Chu Kuangren hasn't even shown himself, but a single sword chi alone has such terrifying power. Just how powerful is he? Too strong. Being ranked first in the sword spectrum isn't a joke. Awesome, awesome. Among all the Sky Prides who came to the Hidden Sword Canyon this time, Chu Kuangren's strength is probably the strongest. How terrifying. I think so too. The sword cultivators who were secretly observing were all very surprised. They did not expect an honorable to be easily killed by a single sword chi without even seeing Chu Kuangren's face. This kind of strength was too shocking. Inside a private room, the atmosphere was a little tense. Streaks of fine sword chi were moving around inside the room, destroying everything around it. Not a single wine glass or table was spared, and even the walls were slashed with sword marks. These sword chi originated from a young man in the room. This young man was wearing a long black robe. His black hair reached his waist, and his brows were long and narrow, making him look a little mean. At that moment, his face was filled with a gloomy expression. Chu Kuangren. How dare he kill my people? This person was Murong Feiyu's follower. The Murong clan's young emperor, Murong Yu. Young emperor, do you want to deal with this person now? Behind Murong Yu, a grey-robed elder said with a cold gaze. Murong Feiyu was a follower of Murong Yu, and the two of them had a good relationship. Now that he was killed, he also hated Chu Kuangren to the core. The sword gauntlet is about to open. I need to recuperate and prepare to attack the sword gauntlet. Revenge will have to wait. Murong Yu gritted his teeth and said. The sword gauntlet was of great importance. His clan's sage once said that the last floor of the sword gauntlet hid a great opportunity of fortune. Compared to that opportunity of fortune, revenge was insignificant. D****, I wanted Feiyu to test Chu Kuangren's strength, but I didn't expect this to happen. This Chu Kuangren is really a strong opponent. Although Murong Yu hated him, he had to admit Chu Kuangren's strength. If they were to fight, he might not win. By the way, young emperor, there's another news. Speak. Someone saw the Murong clan's third young master with Chu Kuangren. He's now a Daoist of the Black Heaven sect. Upon hearing that, Murong Yu's eyes were filled with surprise. He then sneered and said, what an unexpected gain. I can't believe that bastard has gone to the Black Heaven sect after so many years without any news. This trip to the Sword Gauntlet is getting more and more interesting. The number of forces in the Hidden Sword Canyon was increasing. Sword cultivators from the one mountain, one sect, and two families arrived one after another. Besides the four most famous swordsmanship forces, there were also representatives from other top-notch forces. These sword cultivators gathered together. Although there were occasional conflicts, there were no major battles. Everyone was waiting for the sword gauntlet to open. Chu Kuangren had been idle for the past few days. After he killed Murong Feiyu, no one came to challenge him anymore. Although there were occasionally arguments about him being ranked number 1 in the 100-sword spectrum, it was not a big deal and did not affect him. Boom! On that day, a ray of sword chi suddenly shot up into the sky. In an instant, the entire hidden sword canyon trembled. The Daoist rhymes and the countless sword marks trembled as if they were about to burst out from the sword marks. All the sword cultivators sensed it and looked towards the direction of the sword gauntlet. The sword gauntlet is open. One by one, the cultivators rushed towards the sword gauntlet. Most of the sword cultivators were repelled by an invisible force field when they got close to the sword gauntlet, unable to enter. What's going on? Why can't I get in? Many people's expressions changed as they were shocked. Some of the honorables did not believe it and tried to break through the force field by force. However, they were blasted away by an invisible force. This is a barrier set up by a few sages. How dare a mere honorable try to break through it? Someone could not help but sneer. It's a sage? That's right. The sages behind the one mountain, one sect, and 2 families are stopping us from entering the sword gauntlet. Every time the sword gauntlet opens, only 30 people are allowed to enter. How can they let small fries get their hands on it? A sword cultivator who knew the inside story sneered. This is too overbearing. Why can they occupy the sword gauntlet and not allow us to enter? Another sword cultivator said unhappily. Why? Because they're sages. Everyone could not help but fall silent when they heard that. Such was the way of the world. Being weak was a sin. Only those with bigger fists could reason. Most mortals were like that, let alone the cultivators who valued strength. Chapter 180. The sword gauntlet was opened, and the sword chi soared into the sky like rainbows. The saints behind the one mountain, one sect, and 2 clans made their move, setting up a restriction that made it difficult for outsiders to approach. Not long after, the disciples of the various sage orthodoxies arrived. The first to arrive were the people from the Murong clan. Murong Yu led a few of the Murong clan's disciples who were qualified to enter the sword gauntlet. Next was the Linghu family, Tempest Mountain. Chu Kuangren had also arrived with Nangong Huang and the others. They attracted a lot of attention when they arrived, and most of them were focused on Chu Kuangren, who was standing at the front of the group. A few days ago, the news of Chu Kuangren killing an honorable with 2/3 of his sword chi had spread far and wide, causing quite a stir in the hidden sword canyon. The prodigies of the various orthodoxies were extremely curious about him. This person is Chu Kuangren, the top student in the sword spectrum. Truly extraordinary. It's rumored that this person's battle prowess is unparalleled, and he can easily kill supremes, or even supremes. It seems like he's going to be our greatest enemy this time. There were also some female cultivators whose eyes lit up when they saw Chu Kuangren. They suddenly felt that all the men around them were not worth mentioning at all. In the direction of Tempest Mountain, a swordsman who was dressed in plain clothes and carrying a sword stared at Chu Kuangren with a battle intent in his eyes. Chu Kuangren noticed her gaze and looked over as well. However, his gaze was different from that of the plain-clothed swordsman, which was filled with fighting intent. His expression was very calm, and he only took a glance before shifting his gaze. Oh, is he disdainful? The plain-clothed swordsman raised his eyebrows. Many of the surrounding sword cultivators also noticed this scene. TSK, the Tempest Mountain's lunatic swordsman has his eyes on Chu Kuangren now. Jian lunatic's strength is not simple. Rumor has it that he has defeated a few ancient geniuses and is crazy about swords. His strength is extremely terrifying. Before Chu Kuangren entered the world, the older generation of sword cultivators once said that this person's sword Dao was the best among the younger generation. Everyone discussed in private. Lunatic Jian, whose real name was Ling Feng, was the young emperor of Tempest Mountain. Among all the young emperors, his strength was definitely in the top 5. Because he was crazy about swords, he was passionate about challenging swordsmen. He did not even let the older generation of swordsmen go, so he was known as the sword lunatic. Chu Kuangren was not interested in this so-called lunatic swordsman. Just now, he had used the Eye of Revelation to scan the area and realized that none of the Skyprides present could make him worry. On the contrary, his own team was a little strange. Murong, what's wrong? Chu Kuangren looked at Murong Xian and asked. Ever since they arrived at the sword gauntlet, Murong Xian had been hiding at the back of the group as if he was unwilling to face anyone. Nothing. Murong Xian shook his head. Yo, isn't this young Master Murong? At this moment, a ruminating voice came from the Murong family's camp. A young man walked out and looked at Murong Xian. Young Master Murong, it's been so many years since we last saw you. We thought that you had died somewhere in a corner. Who would have thought that you'd run off to the Black Heaven sect? Chu Kuangren was a little surprised. He did not expect Murong Xian to have some kind of entanglement with the Murong family. Murong Hai, what do you want? Murong Xian said with an ugly expression. Nothing much. I just wanted to say a few words to your brothers. Judging from their expressions, I guess they still don't know that you're the daughter of a lowly servant girl from the Murong family, Murong Hai said playfully. Behind him, a few disciples of the Murong family looked at Murong Xian's ugly expression as if they were watching a good show. A young master born to a lowly servant girl. Unable to survive in the Murong family, he ran off to the Black Heaven sect to become a Taoist. Speaking of which, the Black Heaven sect is really too much. How dare you take in all kinds of trash? While Murong Hai was speaking, a majestic Taoist rhyme suddenly erupted beside him. His expression changed as he tried to activate his Taoist rhyme to resist it. However, that majestic Taoist rhyme turned into a godly mountain and instantly slammed onto his body. The violent force immediately sent him flying hundreds of feet away. He tumbled on the ground for a dozen times before he smashed into the cliff wall of the canyon. Why are you chattering like a fly? How annoying. Chu Kuangren slowly fiddled with his fingers. Taoist rhymes were still circulating around his fingertips. It was obvious that he was the one who attacked just now. Chu Kuangren, how dare you? How dare you attack a sage? D***it. The people of the Murong family immediately glared at Chu Kuangren. Waves of Taoist rhymes erupted towards them. However, when Chu Kuangren's eyes turned cold, a surge of sword-based Taoist rhyme that was far more terrifying than theirs surged and dispersed their Taoist rhymes like a tsunami. Every disciple of the Murong family turned pale. You're the ones who are being presumptuous. I don't care what kind of conflict Murong Xian has with the Murong family, but he is now a Taoist of the Black Heaven sect. There's no doubt about that. Insulting him is equivalent to provoking the Black Heaven sect. Based on that alone, I'm already giving face to the Murong family sage by not killing him on the spot. If you still can't control your mouth, I'll kill you. Chu Kuangren's words were as sharp as a knife, and his gaze was as sharp as a sword. His words left the people of the Murong family speechless as their expressions changed. Meanwhile, Nangong Huang, Jun Yi, and the others stood beside Chu Kuangren and stared coldly at the people of the Murong family. Their stance was clear. Murong Xian was not to be insulted, and the Black Heaven sect was even more so. Alright, stop messing around. At that moment, a voice came from the void. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. That was a sage. Young people always like to mess around. Oh, challenging the Black Heaven sect is considered as messing around? Two more sages' voices were heard. Chu Kuangren remembered one of them was the Black Heaven Third Forefather's voice. Brother Third Taoist, do you still want to pursue this matter? Humph, you should be glad that Kuangren is merciful and only gave that filthy young man a slap. Otherwise, I'll definitely kill him. The Black Heaven Third Forefather snorted. When everyone heard that, they looked at the half-dead Murong Hai who had been slammed into the rock wall. They could not help but shiver. TSK, how merciful. I only beat him half to death. Buzz. At that moment, the void trembled. Not far away, the sword chi from the sword gauntlet retracted, and the long sealed door of the sword gauntlet opened with a creak. An ancient and sharp Taoist rhyme emanated from it. Everyone looked at the sword gauntlet. The sword gauntlet has opened. Let them in. The sage's voice rang out again. After that, the people from Tempest Mountain were the first to enter, followed by the representatives from the other orthodoxies. Only 30 people were allowed to enter the sword gauntlet. The one mountain, one sect, and 2 families each had 5, while the remaining 10 were distributed among the other forces. However, things were a little different today. Everyone noticed that only 4 people from the Linghu family had entered the sword gauntlet. The other person was nowhere to be found. Let's go. Chu Kuangren patted Murong Xian's shoulder and said, we'll talk about your matters later. Now, let's enter the sword gauntlet. Yes, elder senior brother. Murong Xian nodded. The group then walked towards the sword gauntlet. There were a total of 6 people from the Black Heaven sect who entered the sword gauntlet. When everyone thought about the Linghu family losing a spot, and then saw that the Black Heaven sect had an extra spot, they suddenly had some guesses. TSK, looks like the Black Heaven sect has something on the Linghu family that they're willing to give up a spot. Interesting. I wonder if anyone can reach the top of the sword gauntlet this year. Chapter 181. In front of the sword gauntlet, a group of swordsmanship skyprides were staring at the tower. As they got closer, they could feel the mysterious Taoist rhymes contained within the sword gauntlet. It was something they could not comprehend. However, the people of the Linghu clan were not in the mood to understand such mysteries. They could not understand it anyway. Instead, they heard the comments of the people around them, which made their faces turn ugly. The other skyprides looked at them mockingly. Obviously, the fact that the Linghu clan had one less slot made them think of something and they were gloating. Chu Kuangren. The Linghu young emperor, Linghu Teng, stared at Chu Kuangren with hatred in his eyes. To him, it was all Chu Kuangren's fault. Not only that, but the clone that he had refined was also destroyed by Chu Kuangren. This made him hate Chu Kuangren to the extreme. Chu Kuangren also noticed Linghu Teng's hatred towards him, and he smirked. Oh, isn't this the one that I've destroyed? Everyone looked at him curiously. It seems that Linghu Teng has some history with Chu Kuangren. Could it be related to the Linghu clan losing a slot this time? Who knows? Linghu Teng said coldly after hearing Chu Kuangren's words, that was just a clone of mine. You're so happy just because you killed a clone of mine? Chu Kuangren. If your clone is so weak, how strong can your real body be? Do you want to try? If you don't want to challenge the sword gauntlet, I don't mind destroying you here and now. Chu Kuangren laughed. That's enough. Let's enter the sword gauntlet. Linghu Ting wanted to say something but was stopped by third forefather Linghu. He glared at Chu Kuangren and then led the few skyprides of the Linghu clan into the sword gauntlet. The others entered one by one. Chu Kuangren, I look forward to a battle with you once we're out of the sword gauntlet. Tempest Mountain's lunatic swordsman said to Chu Kuangren. Do whatever you want. Chu Kuangren smiled. There was one more thing that he did not say. Do whatever you want, I'm invincible. Everyone entered the sword tower one by one, and with every additional person that entered, there would be an additional dot of light in the pitch-black floor of the sword tower. That dot of light represented the sword cultivators who had entered. At this moment, these light spots were all gathered on the first floor, and each light spot had a unique aura of each person. With just a little bit of perception, one could tell who was who. Chu Kuangren and the others entered the sword gauntlet too. Chu Kuangren was surprised. The moment he entered the sword gauntlet, he realized that Nangong Huang and the others had disappeared. He was the only one left. Is this some kind of spatial mechanism? Everyone will be assigned to a different space, but they will all be in the same sword tower. The person who built the sword tower is very familiar with the use of spatial power. This person must be at least at the level of a Saint King. Chu Kuangren muttered. Cultivators could come into contact with and use the power of space at the Dongshu realm, but that was only the most basic use. For example, the War King domain used a certain amount of spatial power. The further one went, the more profound the Tao of space became. Very few people could walk the path of the Tao of space to the end. Chu Kuangren stopped thinking about it. He saw a flight of stairs not far away. This should be the stairs to the second floor. Chu Kuangren slowly walked up, but he realized that there was a barrier in front of him. Is this the test? Chu Kuangren casually unleashed a palm attack. A majestic Daoist rhyme erupted and easily destroyed the barrier. Chu Kuangren then walked towards the second floor. Next, Chu Kuangren realized that there was such a barrier between every floor, and it was getting stronger as the floor increased. However, this was nothing to Chu Kuangren. With a palm attack, not a single barrier could stop him. He was ascending at a terrifying speed. Outside the sword gauntlet, the crowd was dumbfounded as they watched the light spot that belonged to Chu Kuangren rapidly ascending. He's ascending way too fast. He's already on the 8th floor. As expected of Chu Kuangren. He's really powerful. Wait a minute. Look, besides Chu Kuangren, lunatic swordsman, Murongyu, and Linghu Teng are also ascending very quickly. They're following closely behind Chu Kuangren. This time, there are really a lot of talented swordsmen. That's right. The sages who were secretly observing were not surprised by this scene. The first few floors are just appetizers. The later floors are the real highlight. From the 20th floor onward, things won't be so simple anymore. Yeah, let's see how far they can go. This is the sword gauntlet's biggest opportunity of fortune. No one has been able to obtain it for so many years. I wonder if anyone will be able to do it this time. These sages were all sky prides when they were young. They had entered the sword gauntlet before, so they were quite familiar with it. On the 20th floor of the sword gauntlet. At that moment, a person appeared in front of Chu Kuangren. It was a faceless swordsman with a blank face. Oh, there's a change. Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued. When the faceless swordsman sensed Chu Kuangren's arrival, he charged towards Chu Kuangren with his sword, and a powerful sword chi instantly erupted. Chu Kuangren still raised his hand and unleashed a palm attack. The human mountain stamp shattered the faceless swordsman, and after the swordsman exploded, it turned into countless sword chi that dissipated. An existence formed by the condensation of sword chi. Intrigued, Chu Kuangren then proceeded to the next floor. After the 20th floor, Chu Kuangren encountered faceless swordsmen formed by sword chi. These people's strength gradually increased from the battle monarch realm, and by the 38th floor, they were already at the honorable realm. Is this really a test for sky prides? TSK, isn't this a little too strict? I'm already at the honorable realm. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and smashed the honorable realm cultivator into pieces. Among the younger generation, not many people possessed the combat strength of an honorable realm cultivator, and this was only the 38th floor. There were still 12 more floors. When he stepped onto the 39th floor, he did not encounter any obstacles this time. However, there were some changes to the staircase. Murals began to appear on both sides of the staircase. For example, the 39th floor had a mural of a mountain. Upon closer inspection, it contained a surge of Daoist rhyme, as if it recorded some mysterious sword Dao technique that could subconsciously captivate one. At the entrance of the staircase, there was a line of words. Only by understanding a trace of the mural's Daoist rhyme can one proceed to the next floor. Chu Kuangren had the meditational clarity attribute, and his own Dao technique realm was no weaker than a sage's, so he quickly understood the mural. What was recorded inside was a sage technique. It was the same on the 40th floor. If we go further up, is there a sage technique recorded on every floor staircase? Is this purely a test of our comprehension? No, that's not right. There's also the Taoist core. If one's comprehension isn't strong enough and can't understand the Taoist rhyme contained in the sage technique, they won't be able to proceed to the next floor. However, if one's Taoist core isn't strong enough and is too engrossed in the sage technique, they won't be able to proceed to the next floor. Comprehension and Taoist core are both indispensable. Chu Kuangren murmured. The person who built the sword gauntlet was truly ingenious. They've reached the part with the murals on the staircase. Back then, I couldn't pass because I was too engrossed in the sage technique. Outside the sword gauntlet, a sage said. It's the same for me. 2 hours. If you stay in the staircase for more than 2 hours, you'll be considered a failure and be teleported out of the sword gauntlet. This stage is too difficult. A sage shook his head and sighed. As soon as he finished, a white light flashed at the entrance of the sword gauntlet, and a young man was teleported out. He looked around blankly before his expression turned grim. I've failed. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.